everyone, and welcome to Arcane Focus D&D for our first ever long rest for Campaign 1, Magic at Mostead. Oh my god. The campaign is over, but I have plenty of notes to go over, and I think it's basically this is our spoiler show. I'm not your DM, Mike, because I'm not dungeon mastering right now, but we have Amber, Temple, and Steve. Please, regardless, I think we still have to get that legal breakdown, so lead away.
Hello everyone, my name is Steve. I am a community manager with Wizards of the Coast, and all thoughts and opinions expressed on this show are entirely my own. And with that, we've got tons to go through because how many chapters are we in?
Not fully counting the last chapter, which was only a few sessions. 10 chapters.
It's a lot of chapters, so let's get to it.
This was an almost I think we've confirmed it was like an almost 4-year, because we're on year 3 now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we went back and looked at our first episode because I think I put 2 to 3, but it was 2020. So I think it was almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah, I think it was right before or after Halloween 2020. One of those two.
Yeah, so we almost hit that 4-year mark, so it's a lot to go through. I ended up finding, because after each chapter I would count like how many days went by, and ended the chapter with how many days passed through that period. We ended the campaign after the 3-month recap of how your characters were doing after 3 months, or after 3 years, excuse me, with 1,498 days of adventuring or storytelling.
So that's about 3 years within the campaign as well.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, wild. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
In real time.
In real time. I didn't plan that.
That's funny.
Okay. Well, chapter 1, and by the way, I should actually preface this because I've talked to the players, but I haven't talked to you guys. We're going to go through each chapter, go through some highlights. I'm going to go through my notes live, so I don't have really anything crazy prepared, but I have a bunch of recaps. I have a bunch of notes, character sheets, or not sheets, but like breakdowns. And this is a complete spoiler show. The campaign's over. If there's any motivation that these guys want to know about, or what would happen if we did X, Y, or Z, I would tell you, because I have everything written down.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask each other questions?
Yes, I absolutely encourage that. If you guys have any questions about your other PC players, ask it. I think we're all kind of safe to say what our characters were thinking at that moment, or we can assume. Or maybe
I have a question.
Go for it.
Are we allowed to ask each of ourselves questions? Can I ask myself a question?
You can certainly try.
I don't like that. Do I need to roll for that? Is there a what attribute do I roll with?
That's a wisdom save at least.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing I'm great with those.
It's like roll for that insight.
But it's your
-3.
But it's your wisdom. Oh, that's a negative 3.
-3.
That's a negative 3. Caught it. So chapter 1, it only occurred for 15 days. Very, very quick. I think at the end of chapter 1, I think you guys were level 3 or level 2. I don't remember.
Did we start at 1? I thought we started at 2.
I think, yeah, you started at 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were.
I remember starting at 1 because we almost died to goblins.
You were itty bitties.
Babies.
Did you guys fight goblins? I don't think you
I don't
did.
remember.
There was
I
a
remember
part.
They crept up like when we were sleeping or something, and I lit one on fire.
Oh, that's right.
What about the what do you call it? The little. There was
The
like
pixies?
a wagon thing.
The fairies?
that we
The
found.
fairies, the assholes,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. It was way before that. I remember it was a wagon we found somewhere, and then
Yeah, we
goblins
found-
attacked, and then like we almost died because we were level 1, and there were so many of them.
I don't remember.
Well,
I remember the wagon. I don't remember the goblins.
I don't remember the goblins either, but I have notes here. I can maybe find it. So you guys, yeah, all met. I think we can sort of recap a little bit how you guys were introduced. Everyone joined into a tavern, the Cliff Covered Inn. I think early on when it came down to character creation, I know that we sort of established that Rolly and Savannah knew each other, but I don't remember because the way we did character creation is we actually came all together in this apartment, and we sat down and we were like, what are you gonna play as? What are you gonna play as? And we kind of got like basic backstory, because we didn't want to. I think the biggest thing that I like is not to step on other people's toes. I want you guys to all be unique, so it would have been embarrassing if one person wanted to be a master thief and another person wanted to be a master thief, and it would have been like, there's only 3 of us here in terms of players, not very diverse, but we all sat down for character creation. When did you guys decide to actually know each other?
So when me and Steve were talking about making our characters, he kept saying, I want to work with you. I want to work you. We should be a duo. We should be a duo. And I'm just like, okay. So when I mentioned to him what I had in mind, because all I knew in my brain when I created Savannah was, I want to be a thief. I want to be like a cat burglar. And he's like, all right, fine. So that's when we talked about it. I don't remember much else of that conversation, Steve.
I remember us. I told her, like, I mentioned to you that I wanted us to be like a partner, partner duo, right? Like if you recall the campaign you did, remind me again, where you and Amber played like brother and sister, the twins.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Something
was Nyx.
Yeah, something akin to that. Like I wanted us to be like a partnership, like a duo, right? And
But there's like a sibling squabbles that happen.
Yeah. And it ended up gravitating from like, we're gonna work together to, no, we're gonna work with each other. And I'm going to be your manager because you want to be this arena champion, and like you're gonna need someone to be your boss and to tell you what to fight. And I'm like, well, I mean, you got a point. I will need that. So sure, let's do that. And the way it was introduced was not like, hey, you've got some talent, kid. Like, let me take you under my wing, and I'll make sure the world knows your name. No, it was like, I don't know what it is about this guy, but I'm gonna fix this fight for him.
Yeah.
I just remember you guys got into this shit fairly early enough.
It's more like, we're both in the shit, and we're both on the run because of some misunderstanding, or not. And
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That is a choice of words, because a misunderstanding implies that there's an understanding between 2 characters, which in this case there was not.
Savannah stands by everything she did.
I will say that there's a misunderstanding on the arena and how they look towards Rolly because of the fight and how it was fixed. There was obviously a misunderstanding, but the or not sort of refers to Savannah and a little bit of the cat trickery that she likes to bring into this. And by the way, I love that about the whole crew, is that you guys were all chaotic in your own ways. And that sort of brings me to Vera, where you were, I mean, for a while you were kind of like the moral ground of the group, and it wasn't until you got I think the introduction of your
brother.
No, I think I was gonna say when you learn the secret about when you learn the secret about your husband or your fiance at the time, that's when you kind of got like this angry, chaotic vibe. Every time something pissed you off, you were like, "Fuck you."
She had a right to be that way.
Because I remember Vera started off kind of like, I hate to say it, sad girl. Sad girl lost her husband, trying to just figure it out. I'm like, oh, but yeah, once we found out why your husband died, just
that went away.
Hey, Savannah, do you remember that one time we were at that tavern, we were having a drink, and we were like, God, she's such a bummer, man. Like, geez, it's just, my husband this, he's dead that, and we're just trying to be over here being, drunkards like we usually are. Like, you remember that?
Wasn't your hair also like consistently blue at that time too?
Yeah, it stayed that way.
Yeah, which is weird because your standard default state is purple. But you were constantly blue. I remember you were a bit standoffish because it was like people wanted to engage with you within the cliff covered in, and you were like, I'll just take a seat.
Well, there was like a lot of shit. I was like, it wasn't even just her husband. She like literally fucking got in trouble with her god, and it was like, remember that power you got? Yeah, no.
So we kind of covered a little bit of like the we'll cover more about the backstory creation, but when it came down to Vera, you had this really interesting idea of you were technically at that time.
Well, you came up with a level. I just said it would be interesting if that's who she blamed because she doesn't know who else to blame. Like, not necessarily for it, but like, you've helped me all this time and you didn't help him. Like, what the fuck, basically.
You were forsaken by your god for several, maybe almost a year. Almost a year. And I think in game you were like level 5. Like a year prior to the campaign beginning, and the moment you forsaken your god was like,
got my hand slapped.
I have to get, you know what? I'm giving you your space and giving you a slap, and you went back to level 1.
Well, it was like 3 things. It was like she didn't know she could do that, like that much either anger or sadness, because like she didn't ever lose anybody. Like that was her first death in life. And then like she thought she fucked up and like her Mary, and then like the god thing, and then the husband thing. She was like, I'm just gonna go into like a corner and be left alone. This is too much.
By the way, your guys' creation and backstories and families was the most. It was all of you were just like, it was so much. It was friends and family and siblings and mother and fathers, and I was like, I think this was the campaign of like, we have all of our family here, and I like the idea that we didn't go down the route of like, oh, my parents are dead, because that's boring. Everyone does that.
Next campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in my case, right? Like, I was okay. So context for everyone. This was the first time I've ever played a barbarian in any D&D campaign, and not knowing the basics of how to play a barbarian, I decided to play a homebrew barbarian at that. So like weird, complicated rules that aren't official rules. I took the time, like I know Mike helped me out with a lot with my backstory, because like even then I know when I created Rolly, I didn't want to make him, and I know I said this to you in private.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to create the type of barbarian that's very like Conan-esque, just we will demolish your lands and take your women and blah blah blah. That is not what I wanted to do. Like, I've seen that stereotype done, not for me. I wanted something different. I wanted someone who's humble, someone who comes from nothing,
like a man of the land, really, is what you came from. Yeah,
exactly. Like somebody who doesn't come from much, right? A very humble beginning, but with great dreams and aspirations. I think that was the definitive driving factor, in my opinion, for Rolly, is that he has these things. It's not a bad life, but his soul wants more. His spirit wants to go beyond and find out what's really out there and what his true potential is. And I think the way we did it fit very nicely with all that. And the fact that it continually kept coming back to my parents and my family, I hate you, Mike. I think was really, really, it added that extra touch, right? That I don't think we would have gotten if I would have simply said, oh yeah, my parents died in battle, give me your lands and your women, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm very happy with how Rolly ended up coming out.
Yeah.
For sure. The first couple of levels were a little rough, but I mean, as all level 1 characters, it's always rough.
I remember in the beginning, and this is kind of fitting, the fact that like Rolly and Savannah were working together in the very beginning, is that you guys came from like a poor families. Both of you didn't come from money. And I remember in the beginning campaign, you guys were all about getting more money. That was literally, and I remember there were specifically moments where like you guys would go to a tavern or to a rec center or a meetup, and I think, Steve, you'd be like, Rolly goes to a job board, because you guys, or Savannah like goes to talk to someone to see if there's a job, because you guys were like looking for money, which is funny in comparison to Vera, who actually did come from, not like you were super rich, but you did come from stable beginnings of like,
affluence.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't monetary influence, but it was definitely like political too.
Yeah, it was more that probably.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like one of the big things that was on Rolly's mind is, well, I need to get stronger. And, I know eventually we ran into Hannah, who ended up training me, but the biggest thing is like, okay, I need to buy weapons, I need to buy armor, I need to buy better things than what I have. So how do I buy those things? How do I get those things? Ah, money. Great. Now how do I find money? Ah, work.
And keep in mind, I was on the run.
Yeah.
Because
And
we established that fairly early that I was running from something, so...
we introduced one of the major villains who had a direct connection to you, Savannah, Jade Rich, who, you know, through a drunken stupor of your own, were given a drink, went through the, what was the moonlight drop poison, entered your system and paralyzed you for a bit. So we kind of introduced that very early on.
We just didn't know what it was called. We were just like,
Yeah, I
got
mean,
knocked the fuck out.
And
It's like, this is why Savannah ended up being the way she was. It's not like, oh yeah, I'll try this drink. Out.
She was going through some things.
she was you super green. But I like the idea that there was this, and it kind of also translated to your sister, Sheba, and we'll get to that later. But and that's why he's so interested in you, is because Tabaxi biology, due to your metabolism, processed that poison faster than normal others. So he was like, I got to be worried about this race. This is going to be a problem for me if I want to help out the queen. But yeah, so very beginning, you guys went to a tavern, participated in a arm wrestling competition, fell through the floor after a Goliath decided to river dance, helped a bunch of people, got out of a underground cavern that was sort of built underneath this tavern, unbeknownst, and were kind of seen as kind of like makeshift heroes in that moment from the guards, because they were like, you saved all these people? Okay, let's get your statement, and then I think let's set you up real quick, because I think the mayor's gonna probably want to talk to you. And that's when you guys entered in your like first together like official group, you know, job, is to talk to or bring the meat to the spider.
To that.
Axiom. And you guys were being set up by a changeling who was trying to kill Savannah as well.
It took a while to kill that guy. Like, he came back several times before we finally
We'll
killed his
get to
ass.
him.
We'll get to him. But yeah, there were some small hints. I wanted it. I told my players in the very beginning is that I wanted you guys to have like 2 small time goals and like maybe 2 big time goals, and I was going to tweak them in my own fashion. So like one of the long time thing for Savannah was she had to do something to get into the Raven's Kiss. Now was screwing over this one sailor who was the changeling at the time, a dwarven man, and now definitely is getting hounded by this vampire queen who's like, go get that fucking key. And so that's where that led. But yeah, you guys were able to successfully run from the spider. You promised Feck Middledeep that you'd come back in a year's time to help him overthrow Oscar, who was a half-orc asshole.
A prick.
Yes. It's so funny. I'm looking at my notes for like recaps, and they're like 3 sentences for these early sessions. I'm like, how gross is that? There was a lot more that happened.
I think you
Like-
probably, that was more of like things for you to touch on, because I don't feel like your recaps were ever a sentence.
You guys met Garwin Kem after finding. You guys went to Varsal.
We met a lot of pricks in the beginning stages, is what I'm hearing.
Garwin, it seemed like the beginning was definitely like a Savannah focus, because it was like you got cursed by Garwin to go find Richard's journal. I had this idea from Richard for a long time. There was someone who mentioned like a creator a while back was like, I want to make a Kenku who had a master who he served, and now just replicates his voice because the master's died. And I'm like, that's a really cool idea. Let's make that even better. And so kind of made it like a whole clan of the same voice.
Little Richards.
All the
Those-
little Richards.
Those birds.
I remember you hated when we came up with that
Oh
shit.
my
'cause you were
God, I
like,
hated
oh,
it.
LRs, Little Richards.
I was gonna ask as well, like, cause I know, like, when we talked about making this character, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a guild, and then when it turned into what it turned into, that was just like, oh, this is way more than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I was sort of inspired a little bit by Vox Machina because there was this one phrase that Taliesin says is a really successful thieves guild that works underneath the shadows and like the tunnels and the underground of a kingdom probably works best when the kingdom's doing good because there's trade and money happening. But if the kingdom ever were to fall, that thieves guild is probably going to rise up. And so I was like, that really stuck with me. And I'm like, that means the Raven's Kiss, this thieves guild that Savannah's a part of, it's probably really, really cemented itself deep into this continent. That means it's got to be bigger than what it's putting about. Like its front face towards its members are like, we're a thieves guild. We steal, we kill, we cheat, we blackmail, we do anything we can just to get some coin. You pay some patronage up to the job holder, and we move on with our lives. But there had to be something more, and so
It's like, little does people know, we're turning mini wheels in the background.
yeah, there's a lot of wheels. Like they have their hands in everything, or at least they have their eyes watching everything.
And I mean, their hiding place was perfect. They were literally hiding in plain sight.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that, yeah, and if you ever wanted to get to like their main entrance, you have to go through a desert that not a lot of people cross. But yeah, so you guys were able to get to Varsal. I'm trying to see who else you met.
I think by that time we met Gina Lee.
I think that's the encounter Gina, but we talked to somebody right before Gina Lee, because someone sent us to Gina Lee, didn't they? Or am I misremembering?
Yeah, I think we went to go talk to some like dwarvish blacksmiths, and I wanted to get like a +1 weapon.
Yes.
And I wanted to add more enchantments to it, but they're like, we can't do that. Like, there's only one person we can
Oh.
know that could do that, and that was Gina Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the one that had like a bad X or something. Or the fiber. It was
The irony is that I never got that extra enchantment.
No, you got something way much more.
Yeah, you kept her on her toes. There was a lot of things happening. So you guys did, yeah, you went to Varsal. We're looking to upgrade and found Swirly Jin's magical bin. So Jin is spelled Gen because of sort of like Gina Lee, sort of the J and G in there. And I wanted it to rhyme. I wanted it to be sort of silly because she's kind of an airhead.
Don't you talk about my wife like that?
I know it happened. It actually happened. But yeah, I had this idea. It came just sort of simply. It was a simple concept, which was an Air Genasi magical enchantress. And I didn't want her to be like, come everyone, I'm powerful. I wanted her to be kind of ditzy. To kind of fit a little bit of that Air Genasi vibe. That's all I had. She wasn't meant to be a big character at all. She was supposed to be a trope.
Yeah, no, look.
With a California Valley Girl accent, and you guys really took to her, and you did a job for her. I think that was the only time we almost had a TPKO in
Yeah.
the early years, which was fighting against
Boar.
boars.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I will say that definitely during that time, Rolly wasn't really considering much of a long-term relationship, if you will. That kind of just bosomed out of nowhere. But you really weren't giving me too many options there. I mean, I had in reality, I had party members, and then I had
You're a crazy fan.
crazy fan.
You also slept with a pirate.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Never
I
saw
mean,
that
you had
pirate
a
again.
lot of
Nah.
NPCs, man. I just don't think you had one that really liked.
That's true. I mean, there was plenty of options for you guys. Like, there was options, but it's all depends on what you gravitated towards. And you really liked the. There was more depth to her afterwards because obviously she was just a blanket character. And then you guys kind of forced my hand. This is sort of showing a little bit of my creation, where I was like, okay, I guess I have to make more details about this woman because you're like, we're gonna see her again. I think you actually guys were like, do you have more magic items? She was like, eventually, and you're like, we're coming back, and I was like, okay, shit, all right, well, we're doing this.
You gave us a resource. We're going to use the resource.
That's true.
Was that when we got the chatterbox?
That was when you got the chatterbox. It was only 50 gold. And that
Wait,
was
I thought the chatterbox was free because it was
I
a
think,
project.
yeah.
It was a test.
Yeah.
I think we paid something for 50 gold, and we got it cheap because she gave us the chatterbox to test.
oh,
out.
that's right. Yeah.
Was that when I got the bag of holding? Because I did get the bag of holding from Gina Lee. I'm just trying to remember when.
Possibly.
I think it was your second visit to Gina Lee that you got the bag of holding, because the bag of holding at that time was worth 2,500 gold, and you did not have that back
No,
then.
I did not have that.
I think it was when you guys returned, you were like,
think
I
that was
finally have the
after
money, let's do it.
boar, And then we were like, okay, we have money now.
I'm trying to remember, what did we get that she was like, okay, I'll cut you a deal, do this, and you take this to test? Because I don't
could probably
remember.
tell you, but I'd have to look.
I have
for
the
it.
stat. At the time, she was selling the Eyes of Minute Seeing, which I believe Vera ended up getting,
Yeah, I had it the whole time.
and you never removed it.
Nope.
The Staff of Flowers, a Scroll of Dimension Door, Chatterbox, and Bag of Holding.
I feel like we did get the dimension door.
Did we?
Probably.
No, I don't think you did.
No?
No, you had 2 Scrolls of Dimension Door from the genie. From
No,
the
that
gin.
wasn't dimension door. That was teleport.
That was just teleportation.
Oh, good point. I don't think you did then. Dimension Doors it was like 3,000.
That's probably why.
It's a high level
Oh.
spell.
Point being that yes, we eventually came back for that bag of holding, and we got the chatterbox for free just to test it out. And boy, oh boy, that chatterbox!
I wanted to.
Oh my!
It's an interesting view as a content creator to be like, that was the time we were doing, I mean, early years we were streaming, we weren't recording. And I was like, well, how do I involve the live chat? Because when we were really active and we had like, we weren't,
Free
know,
baby.
we didn't have a baby and our attention was split elsewhere. We did have somewhat of an active chat. So we were like, well, how do we integrate these people in? Because I didn't want them just to have a passive experience. And I was like, the chatterbot's fun. So we had this little implementation for the chat to talk to you guys live. It's how you knew about tacos.
Whole campaign. Took us a really long time to get there too.
Campaign. And I feel kind of bad in a way because we finally reached that climax. We finally found it. We went there. Rolly and Vera were here, and then Savannah was also here, but not necessarily there. So,
Yeah. Still salty.
no regrets.
I remember I wrote in my notebook that like Rolly dropped all the tacos except for one, sad face.
You almost got swindled by Dr. All.
Oh yeah. I bet it sells makeup.
Yeah. Oil, was it snake oil they're considered?
I don't know. I just remember that like it was something that like he
'Cause
was
Rolly had
telling
the
Rolly
rash.
that would get rid of the patches, but it was just makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the Ebon Scourge. Remember?
You had the Ebon Scourge, which is what your entire city was being afflicted by. That was your long-term goal. I know when we wrote down like your goals to complete, that was your task. But he essentially was selling makeup, dressed up as sort of like an all cure elixir or balm.
Till you wash it off.
He had a +8 to deception, and I think you guys still beat that. One of you guys had a better perception or insight.
It was probably Vera.
It was probably
Probably
Vera.
Vera.
You guys.
I want to say I think it was me and Sam because we were inspecting.
It's true.
Because I remember we were inspecting because I remember a vivid conversation of like, that just looks like paint. Is that just paint?
Yeah, it was just color. You guys left Varsal, headed to Arcane, which was the religious city.
I was gonna say, I think we got up in that guy's carriage and Sav
You
was
stole his
reading the
carriage.
label, and then I think I slapped his horse in the ass and it took off.
I don't think that's when you stole it. I think you stole it the second time you
Yeah.
met him.
I think we just hit the horse in the butt to get him going.
I have here that you guys actually went to a ranch in Varsal and got a couple of horses.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Wasn't the owner like a big flirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
That was before we were known as the Three Griffins in the back.
That's right. That's right. That didn't happen till later. That didn't happen. Yeah, we're still not even there yet until you get the name. You guys headed to Arkling. When you saw a bunch of burnt down churches. Ended up meeting Jane and Harvey. And sort of seeing, for at least Rolly, having sort of a friendly face, a recognizable face from what from his training days at the Coliseum. And then I don't know if I have. You fought Harvey, Rolly, just as a training. Oh, I remember there was here. I wrote down here that you guys were going northwards to Isenby, and there was a point where you were going past a cave and to the left-hand side, and there was smoke coming out of the cave. You ended up going and seeing that there was a house built inside this cave, and it was a trap by 2 gelatinous cubes that flopped down to the ground, blocking the exit. And they were, I think, what did I wrote? I think there were some kind of jellies that were burning metal.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because remember that? There was a thing that were like, Savannah just bought Rolly like a really nice like armor set, and then it started to get burned.
Eat.
That was, of course, before we discovered that Rolly is actually better off without armor.
That's true.
Who would have thought?
But essentially, we ended chapter 1 with you guys on the way to Isenby. You haven't made it to the capital of the kingdom just yet. But yeah, kind of the driving force at that particular moment was like trying to get rid of the curse. I think that was the biggest thing on everyone's mind. Oh yeah, during this period, you got informed by a white dragon, I guess a priestess of the Wild Mother, that something was happening. I think even Harvey was telling you like there's a strange connection that's not happening. It's sort of difficult to talk to the Wild Mother.
Yeah.
And that was also like early inception. Like I was, putting in the idea of Zikmoy, that she's causing some sort of disruption with the Wild Mother. So I was planning these things as early as I could.
It morphed.
It morphed. Is there anything? I think if you guys remember anything or have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll move on to the chapter 2.
Just a random question that I thought just came to my head. Are you one to like name your chapters? Like, do you give them like interesting names? Because I would love to know what the names would be for our chapters.
I will
That'd be
start.
great.
I will start giving the names. I actually do have names for them, and I only name them after the chapter's done, because I'm like, what is this chapter summarize? Like what occurred here? And so this one was New Beginnings. Kind of apt for just the first few chapters. I think we went. Let's see. We went 4 sessions, and then I called it a chapter because I was like, okay, we established the ground rules. You guys have a thing you have to do. You all met each other. There's some hints about Rolly meeting your friends, or meeting Harvey, your friend. So there's some Coliseum connection. There was getting dragged into the Raven's Kiss with Savannah and getting cursed. And then there was, I think it was, you guys met the fairy. So there was a bit of a Feywild connection with Vera. And by the way,
Oh, the pixies, the assholes.
or the Pixies, that was also an early game sort of inception of the idea of Igor the Hungry. Because they were like, we left the Feywild because there was a beast.
Oh.
That was a trip.
So that was planned for a long time.
I remember we ad-libbed the fairies were assholes because you were like, you know, they're not always assholes. I'm like, they're assholes to Vera, so they're assholes in this campaign. And then like, I remember we were watching like 2 other like DMs that you like, and they were like, nah, they're assholes. Like traditionally pixies are assholes because they're fae. They like to get into shit. Fae traditionally like to get into shit.
They're still roaming Mostead causing problems. All 3 of them. Chapter 2, and I'll scroll up, was called Answers, Bags, and Tombs.
Wait, was that Mostead?
Yeah, he was introduced during this chapter. I'll also say chapter 2 is when I actually started to write down my recaps, like, in more than just 3 sentences. Like, I actually have a full paragraph, which is nice. Actually, because of what you were wearing, Rolly, at that point for Rolly, I put here that this was I have a note here that like this is the first time players have noticed the discoloration on the skin. That wasn't noticed until just now. So,
because I think we had talked about like it was like I didn't have it a lot in the beginning, but then it started getting worse.
Yeah. It was starting to have flare-ups, and I think there was moments where you did have to roleplay some flare-ups. Like, it was like almost painful and sickening. Like you get nauseous and sort of like losing balance. So that happened occasionally, which was, boy, that seemed like forever ago.
It does.
You guys made it to Isenby, and I think the first thing you guys did was you followed Vera to her house.
Yeah.
You actually had a house.
That she did not use.
Right.
That
And-
Lily wanted to quote unquote pay for, and she thought like it just like went up.
Lily was paying for the rent. She was keeping that house open.
Because
and
she took something from it.
yeah, you noticed that it was shackled. So
What'd she take now that it's over?
okay, yeah. So essentially, she took their if you guys remember, there was the armor stand in the bedroom, and obviously the armor wasn't there because you're wearing it. However, she took the weaponry. So she took his weapons because that was a significant connection that he had. He also took apparently I wrote in a family heirloom of Uthiel's. I didn't write what particular one. I was like, she probably took something sentimental just in case.
I never seen somebody be unanimously hated by the group instantly.
Right. And this is the chapter where you met her too.
Instantly.
Because I think the whole thing is the moment we met her, it was just like, no, fuck this bitch. It's like, we don't know why, but fuck this bitch.
Which was weird.
Yeah.
Because she kind of came out like, friends, hello Vera, I haven't seen you in forever. And it was sort of be cordial, but
Well, that was the thing, and I told you because I was like, do I really know her? And you were in passing. You knew that Uthiel reported to her, so I was like, why the fuck are you being so friendly to me? If I don't really know you, what's your deal?
that's funny.
And then,
overly friendly.
Truth be told, as we continued to discover more and more about Lily, it did not help our general feelings on her when it's like, hey, my husband's dead. Yeah, he's dead and he's buried. We took care of it. Okay, where is he? Where can I go visit him? Oh, we can't tell you that.
Well, his actual she didn't know.
Sorry.
She didn't know that was after we found out that burial site was a facade. She didn't know where he was actually buried. She didn't know that fake one existed or where the real one was, whatever. And then she was like, yeah, we didn't actually bring him back. And it's like, excuse me, what?
I think that's what really triggered you. But I have here, there was a sealed envelope in the mailbox for Vera. And it was I hope, or I think maybe this is, oh no, you started off with the campaign with this note.
Oh, yeah. That was the one that was talking about rent. That's how I knew it was open still.
I remember that. No, you started off with this note. It was, Dear Miss Kavad, because you weren't married at the time. My hope is that that if you were reading this, that must mean that the healing process had begun. And while we've had very little interaction, Uthiel spoke of you numerous times, and it seems that you also struck a chord with the entirety of Troop 14 as well. I'm sure you have plenty of questions, so attach this letter is an invitation to Castle Caspin, which will allow you and any approved individuals of your choosing to enter the royal grounds for dinner. Please present this invitation to Royal Hall, to City Hall, and allow me at least a day allow me at least a day for scheduling.
See, there was no snarky bitchness in that whole letter. That's amazing for
She
her.
probably didn't
Not
write
wrong.
it.
Not wrong.
She probably didn't write that shit.
Make this not sound like bitch.
It's like, dear assistant, make a nice note.
Essentially, yeah. Also, I was gonna write this in the recap, but I can actually say it now. The owner of the Brave Dragon Bar probably is a little tiffed that you never presented this idea to your father, because he was the old man who wanted to have another bar, but in Marigar, and he was like, could you talk to your father, because I know him, he's got a lot of sway, and you were like, I'll definitely do it.
No, I think I did.
You never did.
I thought I did. I
Nope.
thought I mentioned it, and then I was like some old guy, and didn't really say who.
I guess you said some old guy, but that's not enough.
I think I totally fucking spaced, but no, I think I actually put a note where I was just like, I think I said some old guy, not like who he was.
Yeah, Dad. Some old guy wants to set something up. Yeah, some old guy. I don't know.
Some old
Yeah.
guy, I don't know.
Some
Hey man, she had a lot on her plate. She wasn't worried about some random dude's fucking bar.
Put in the bar.
Oh, there also this was, yeah, you guys, again, you were on that trail of finding jobs at a job board.
I think
And-
one of them came up as Season's Bounty, and I was like, oh yeah, that's my dad's thing. And they were like, what?
I think that was the first introduction of the season's bounty to Savannah and Rolly. Like, oh yeah, my dad owns a guild.
I think that's when it hit us how much. How do I say this politely? This is our first introduction to the affluence of the Kavad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, okay, I totally understand, but at the same time, like, none of the kids, with the exception of maybe Vosen, ever thought that money was their money. They were like wild children that liked to run around and didn't want anything to fucking do with the business except for Zima.
So spoil rich kids.
Not really.
Well,
I mean,
You had
I
all-
had no money. I had
You
to
had
go
all
pay
your
his
needs taken
hooker
care of.
debt.
You're fine.
it's like all your needs were taken care of, but we could go fuck off and do whatever. You ran off to be in the woods. Your brother and sister were like living their lives.
and
Yeah,
and all this
Zima-
time, poor
Well-
Savannah's family had, dire straits. Dad leaves. She has to resort to thievery.
I didn't say dire straits. It's just
No offense, I
nomadic
think
type
Steve's
people, I don't
bluffing
know.
that way.
And of course, Rolly humble beginnings in a farm because that's all we've ever known. What do you mean? Like, you own a kid? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I think to Savannah and Rolly, who both technically do both come from humble beginnings, though different, to just be introduced to, like, yeah, by the way, my party member has a guild, like,
Well,
family
none of
owns
them
one.
did anything with it except for Zima. Like, I told Mike originally, I didn't mean to make her into essentially a fucking war clerk, but like, Vera was essentially a bookworm. Like, she did not go out and fight. Anything that was taught to her was taught to her by Uthiel. Like, there was no, I go out and fight. I go over there in the temple and study all fucking day in a library. Like, I don't do this shit.
Well, to be fair, after what Lily and the Queen did to you,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was only one path.
Well, this was when you're going to the job board. This is where you guys found out about. Obviously, yeah, there was the job for the season's bounty. There was also a retrieve a moon rock from the forest
Oh, that weird little dude.
with a drob Y, and then there was the 31st annual group competition at the Eclipse Coliseum for teams of 4.
We needed a bag.
If I
Yeah,
recall,
this is where.
is that when we were going to go find the moon rock? Is that where we found the first djinn?
I
Yeah,
want to yes.
The
Okay,
Earth,
okay,
The
the-
Earth Genie.
that was the same one from later, right? Or was that the fire one?
That was this one from later, yeah, because you
We never met
re-met
the
the
fire
Earth
one.
Genie again.
I had her name written down somewhere, but no, that's when she mentioned the queen, and we all thought like the current queen.
That was, yeah, I was really excited because I was like, she doesn't know her name. She only knows her title. So she was like, the queen did this to me. And I wanted that to be like a seed in your mind to be like, wait, Queen Caspian? Like that queen? And obviously there was no mention of Queen Evergrey. So this was far along putting that seed once again.
You're like, no, another crazy bitch you will soon to meet.
A much worser queen.
Yeah. You guys went to you went to the forest, checked out the crater, found that whatever the meteorite hit, went through the ground and found like there was an underground tunnel that Genesis members were using to transfer bodies, to feed the phylactery shards. And you guys explored, defeated a bone serpent, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that thing.
Fought and eventually I don't think you guys actually killed her. I think you actually convinced her to stop.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah,
like
we convinced her.
charisma.
Yeah, so you convinced the Dao to stop. Took the gem for yourself. Had no idea. You guys kept it for a very long time.
I think until
It
we
was
met
just in the
Igno.
bag. So
Yeah, we were
pretty
like,
much.
don't touch it. It eats people.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
My question is, did she know we fucking took it? And like, did she know it was us when we picked that thing up? Because technically I think we put it in the bag of holding a salves. So it was like in some other demi-plane or whatever the fuck. So I don't know if she knew who took it or she just knew it was gone.
In all honesty, I don't think the queen would have really been privy to our existence at that point because we hadn't become a thorn in her side. We were just starting to learn about her, like the initial seeds of, hey, you little birds, there's more than you know.
No, I mean, because
Go out to the world.
I mean,
Mike had-
at that point, it would have been whatever Lily would have told her at that point. So
I thought Mike had mentioned because like she knows when one of her food sources gets cut off. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
would that one, because it's no longer getting anything.
I think she would probably assume that like her minions are not doing their jobs. She wouldn't know that it's been taken.
Okay, I didn't know if she knew it got moved.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so the only connection, much like how in the final fight, when something gets destroyed, then she has that connection of feeling that pain.
Yeah. Okay.
And with the bag of holding, it gets put into like a harmless demi-plane. So it's still around, it's just not where she left it.
Yeah, it just becomes inert at that point.
Like, hey, my plate's a little less full.
Essentially, yeah.
it's like, I'm kind of suddenly hungry. Why?
Okay, so yeah, so you guys fought the drow, ended up grabbing the gem and leaving.
Well, we got Malsado out.
No, actually, that didn't happen yet.
No?
No,
Or was that like the next time? we were
you
still
actually
in
went
there?
back to the cave,
Uh,
and there's a reason why. So you guys went. I'm trying to think. Did that actually? I'm gonna go back to my notes. Like I mentioned, everyone, this is all live.
I'll pull out my notebook.
Yes, so this is what happens. When you guys went into the underground tunnel, there was like going left or going right. You guys ended up going right, which is where the Dao was. And so you got what you got left, and that's when you had the meeting with Lily. And that's when, like we mentioned before, that's when you started to get all the details about, how's True 14 doing, about what happened to Uthiel. And I remember that she was like, we couldn't bring the body back because it was an active fight and we just couldn't do it at the time. I think the biggest giveaway that especially Amber was like, aren't you the royal general? Shouldn't you be skilled enough to handle all this shit?
Sorry, I mean, not that I'm in the military, but I'm like, isn't there a thing where it's like no man left behind, even if he's dead?
That
Like, you
part.
bring his ass back to give him a proper burial, or she.
Oh,
what the
and then
fuck?
she gave you 3,000 gold, because it was a, I guess like, what do they call it when they, it's like a stipend? No, something. Basically,
No.
yeah, like this was your husband's pension.
Yeah.
They passed to the next of kin, and she lied to you and told you that this red ring was also Uthiel's, and which was a ring of protection, but was also cursed.
Yep.
So for the audience who may not know, what was Lily's motivation in lying here?
Oh yeah, so Lily came from humble beginnings as well. She was a street urchin at the Evergrey Empire. When that got dissolved, and she, I didn't write the full details of how she met Evergrey, but ended up stumbling upon her notes and findings and found her, and was like, I want to be an all-powerful being too. You're a lich. How do I become one? And if anyone knows anything about liches, they don't want more competition. So she was like, sure, little Lily, I'll tell you anything you want. Here you go. Here's the instructions, and gave her like a BS list of instructions of how to become a lich. And one of them was to piss off Summer's Fury. And she just so happened, after becoming a real general, because she's an elf, she lives a long time, talking to Uthiel and be like, what's your fiance's name? That means Summer, right? Okay. And kind of having this like, that's my opportunity.
I like how real early on I wrote Tackle Bale.
So yeah, you got the cursed ring, several thousand gold, and then met up with Mary.
She was
we,
working in the hospital at that point.
She
So
was working in the hospital at that point.
Yeah, we haven't even met up with her boo.
But I think that was when you invited her over, because you were like, you left a note like, I'm here, and she always saw you as like a daughter-in-law. Or as a daughter. She was like, oh my god, huh. And she wanted to go see you, especially because she was there with you when you had your breakdown.
Yeah, that's the one I thought, like, oh, I heard her.
And several things. One, she started like, I think the biggest thing is she looked over Rolly in your condition, and she was like, well, I might not know, but I know maybe an alchemist who I worked with who could, I know who can probably really put his skills to use, and that was the hint of Moscow.
Yeah, bro, I didn't think you were gonna go fire Genasi, but okay.
Well, I remember telling you early on that Moscow ran hot.
No, you said Uthiel ran hot.
Or sorry, it's Moscow. Uthiel ran hot, excuse me. And that was sort of hinting that he was part Genasi. Because in real life, I run hot, and I didn't think it was gonna trick anything with Amber. I was like, oh, okay, she's just gonna think it's like me. Like I run warm.
I mean, to be fair, when we initially started talking about this Dr. Moscow person, we were like, at least for me, I don't know about the rest of the group, but at least for me, I kept on envisioning this almost like weird, hectic, just completely like, appearance-wise, just all over the place, just scatterbrained, but really, really smart and talented, like old doctor person, just mad scientist type, if you will, just concocting all these like serums and all just basically the typical mad scientist person.
yeah, I think
My God, did we not get that at all?
I mean, I think what Igno ended up being is what I thought Moscow was gonna be when we first heard about him,
Yeah.
and then Moscow ended up being what he was.
Like in my brain, like it didn't process well. It's like, what?
I also think you guys caught on that it was Moscow. It was Uthiel's father very early on. I think it was probably Vera was like, who was he to
She
you?
said something. She said some shit, and then I was like, that's not Uthiel's dad, right? Because I think Mary said, oh, I know him from like a really long time ago, and then like something, I think I did an insight or some shit.
You did insight, and I think it was like you saw like wisps of like emotion, like attachment.
But
and
she
there was-
also
there
gave
was,
me
like,
that little necklace because he gave that to her.
Yeah, and then that's also a big giveaway. By the way, that necklace was supposed to protect you from the genies for one time.
I mean, she still has it on.
Yeah.
Should have taken off.
I remember you getting excited though. I remember that, like you caught on that it was the father, and you were like, "I'm gonna meet Uthiel's dad," and I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah."
boy, was I gonna meet I remember we were over there, and then like Sav and Riley were like, "No, not that one. Don't hit on that one." Like, that's your son's wife. That's your dead son's wife. Or about to
It's
be
just
wife.
because he
Just
went,
hit on me.
because he went in on all of us. When you went for you, were just like, nope, don't do that one.
Not that one. Not that one.
I have here a Mary on Uthiel's father. I have a note here, something that I have quotes, so I probably read this out loud. Was, I don't really like to talk about him, so I'll say this much: he wasn't in my life very long. He was exciting to say the least, and an excellent dancer. He was pretty much the life of the party. He knew about Uthiel, but we agreed that I wanted the child and he wanted his freedom, so it was mutual. I write to him, and I plan on telling him just at the right time.
Oh yeah, because I asked her, "Did you tell him he's basically dead?" And then she was like, "No."
Oh, that's what the writing meant.
He
Okay.
doesn't know, like
Yeah.
that his son died, and I was like, "It's been a while. You might want to tell."
But then the Drop Y, the little gnome person who told you about the moon rock that you gave, was like, "Hey, you know that hole you found? I kept hearing sounds coming from it." And that's when you guys were like, "Okay, we went right. Let's start going left." And that's when you met Masato, who was down there, because he was like the newest prisoner of Genesis who was about to be absorbed, but they had no idea that the Tao's gone. So yeah, that happened.
He was with us for a little while. Then, like, once we won, he was like, "I'm out." Got shit
As
to
soon
do.
as we got the gem, he was just like, and I'm gone.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't think he actually stayed with you.
Not very long. Like the journey there, and then that whole fight.
Well, hold on, let's see. I'm trying to think. When did you actually pick up Masato? Oh, the return back to the cave actually didn't occur just yet. Yeah. You had the talk with Mary. After talking to Lily, she asked you guys to go through a test to see if
Yeah.
you
Oh,
guys
the security job.
the
The
security
think
job at
tank
the think
ball.
tank ball. And there was a lot of references in that ball. But she essentially sent a invisible stalker to kill her, just to sort of fuck with you guys.
Yeah, and should I have not faced up to her ass out? Should have let him kill her.
It wouldn't have finished the job.
In that moment, I was like, I should have let them kill your ass.
So the whole point, and I wrote this in, the whole point was that she wanted to be kind of fucked up a little bit by these invisible stalkers, so that way she can point to you, specifically Vera, and be like, "You can't do this job, then you don't need to know where he's buried." And that was supposed to be the point.
I mean, that alone, I should have just let her die.
You could have
Oh,
had
she-
them,
She fell down
could
the
have had
stairs.
those dudes start, and then you could have just finished it.
Yeah.
She fell really far.
But then you walked out of her office and met True 14. And that was a big thing for Vera, of like finding all these little members of your fiance's old group.
They told me, but they couldn't tell me. They had to tell me in a weird way, because I remember they were like, technically we signed like not like a magical contract that says we're not allowed to disclose shit, and then but like they disclosed a little bit, enough like where we could figure it out, and then like went in a general direction.
So it says here, when you become a troop member, you have to sign a magical contract that alerts like members of the crown that you've let slip crown secrets. And definitely troop activity is considered like military activity, which they obviously, you don't have to disclose that. And definitely if they have you on secret missions, it's like you can't disclose that as well. It's not like they can't talk about it. Like if they really wanted to break the contract, they could. but then someone upstairs would be like,
Mhm.
okay, someone spoke. So that's why they were like, we can't say a word. I have here, like I said, I can't say much. Do you have a map?
Oh yeah. I'm like, technically it's not the crown's secret. It's more like Queen Lily bitch over here secret. It's not really the Queen of Cave.
Yeah, so they were just like, I can't say anything about it. Sorry. And that's when you went to the moon cave after that. And that's when you met Mostead. Yeah. That's when you started to travel.
Because that's when we met our griffin, right?
Because somebody got hungry and killed a mama.
Mm-hmm.
No comment.
We were all like, leave it alone. And Rolly's like, I'm hungry. And I'm like, and we didn't know it had babies then. And we were like, oh shit.
I don't remember. Did I ever? I think I kept it a secret that Nick was going to be part of the game.
Yeah, we didn't know, I don't think.
We didn't know.
Because I messaged him, DM'd him like, okay, now join. And then we got him all situated. Because
I think he liked being a little gremlin.
Mostead was fun. I know. So if you guys want to know a little secret,
The bag.
the bag.
The bag.
Mostead, I had to write a whole thing about Mostead. He is, obviously a dwarf warlock, a fiend warlock, and his bag is connected to a all-hungry devil. And I wrote in like the devil itself cannot, like, it can't get enough substance in the 9 hells. So he's like, I'm sending my stomach, my mouth, my eyes, my ears. Like, I'm sending my senses out there in the material plane to lead these groups of people to start feeding me.
And even he
The
didn't like the
bag.
witch.
The bag
The
hungers.
bag hungers.
Actually, I don't think the devil knew anything about Queen Evergrey. It's just that it ate the gem. Like, it knew about it. Was like, that gem, like, it smells great. And that's because it had a bunch of souls in it. And he's like, that bag smells great. I want it.
It just dawned on me. So we fed the devil a bunch of souls. Okay. Little did we
Technically,
know.
we didn't.
We did that. We did that.
It's like, where do you just put the souls? In a devil, or do you give it to a lich?
Either way,
I mean,
it's
the
not a
devil's
good
not
thing.
trying to, like, destroy the world, so. That we know of, I should say.
It's just trying to consume it.
So,
Just that.
full on disclosure, the red gem came from a fire genie, because each gem represents like what genie was guarding it. The earth gen was enslaved and didn't want to do it, but was forced to. The air gen was like, I'm not calling you master, but damn, you put me in a good position, so I'll go ahead and do it. The water genie was like, I'm sadistic and I love this. The fire genie was the only one who was like, fuck you, I'm not doing this shit. And because of that insolence, was actually imprisoned as well inside of the gem. So there's this idea of like two major beings colliding, of the devil and the jinn. And could a devil absorb basically like a noble fired Ifriti?
Did he?
No.
No, I was gonna say because of what we know, that obviously it didn't work.
Yeah. I wrote in that eventually, the gem itself is spewed out. Eventually it's going to spew out of Masaru's bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be spewed out of Masaru's bag, and it's going to be almost like in this permanent inert state. Eventually it goes through like trades and customs and ends up going into, I'm trying to remember the story, but I think eventually like it makes its way to Nomad.
Yeah, I think he found it in a tomb, no? Because they were like out there like treasure hunting or some shit.
They were
or
treasure
trying to
hunting.
study. Yeah.
There's a whole story about like bandits and pirates and treasure hunters and people hiding treasure, and eventually another character, another NPC from another campaign finds it, and is now tied to this genie. Well, I'm hoping to have one day a moment to write down that story. But yeah, so the djinn is an inert gem, and that's why you guys never fought a fire genie.
That would have been interesting.
You guys made it to Cleedon City because all 4 of you at this point were going to the Colosseum, and yes, at that point, you ran into the 3 griffins, little babies.
Was 4 griffins.
The poor griffins. Well, we got them to a sanctuary. They should be nice and big now.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
They're in a zoo.
They're in like something rainbow or something of
They're in
full
the
life.
Museum of Color or something.
Yeah,
or
that
something.
thing.
Something like that.
Thing that was also tied into the one shot.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're in that, and eventually, when they get old enough, I don't know what the lifespan of a griffin is, and when they become an adult, but eventually, when they become an adult, they're gonna get released on an island somewhere.
They can go get released on what's his face? Can't think of his name right now. Gem Dragon's Island.
Oh, Ironside?
Ironside?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had the fight in the Colosseum, ran into a crazy stalker. Eventually getting the ruby, and Mostead keeping that, eating that.
Wasn't Harvey's sister in the fight?
Yeah, Rita.
Yeah, because I just
Mostead
remember
tricked
how
her.
we just got her booted out of there as fast as possible to not deal with it.
The grin on Nick's face.
Nick is tricky. Nick is real tricky.
That's what happens when
I'm a
you
bit
have
afraid
DM
next
that
time we
plays.
have him, but he's a real tricky guy.
Just as a refresher for the rest of us, please enlighten us how that went down.
There was a major rule in the Colosseum, which was no potions. So you could heal yourself naturally or with magic, but you cannot do so with external effects, like potions or of that sort. He had some illusionary magic. He's a charismatic boy because he's a warlock. Very deceptive, and was able to deceive one of the fighters, Rita, your friend. Or friend, a sister of a friend. Friend sister. And to don't worry, they changed the rules last minute. You can definitely drink a potion. And she was like, "You serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she popped a potion, healed herself up because she got hit a few times. And
But it wasn't a real potion.
the announcers were like, "Hey, idiot. You can't drink potions." And she was like, "What about him?" And he's like, "Not real. Not against the rules."
Damn.
It was real smart. Nick's a smart player. Let's see here. Met the woman with a black barrel, which is the stomach.
Yeah. She get eaten later.
She got 8. Yeah, she got 8. Absolutely. That's his life. Mostead, it's a bit,
Chaotic.
say the least.
Yeah. It's a chaotic fuckery all the time.
I like that chaotic fuckery.
The teams that you were against was, so you guys went in as 3 griffins in the bag. There were the Marble Hawks, the Shelled Warriors, the Blood Takers, and I think maybe that was it. I think that was it. Yeah. Man, this goes on for a while. You guys made it to Romery, which was the sort of like a desert town. You met Danny.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just fucking hates tourists and outsiders, and you guys were all of that. But needed a ranger to help you traverse the desert. So she was with coin, happy to oblige. Plus, you guys also learned about a children's book about an old queen.
Yeah.
It was in the workings for a very long time, and this is the first time you. Oh, here it is. It's called Her Greatness, Her Greatness.
I actually have a note about like the Evergrey Desert, but I don't remember. Oh.
It's I actually had to make a rhyme, like a children's rhyme. So it was, her greatness, how lovely thus reigned. Rejected, her confidence and sanity was slain. She ruled, she cried, she died a little inside. That's what you get for being a gray.
I forgot that's exactly what it says. Because I think at that point we still didn't understand like the true importance of the children's stories.
And I mean, there was a lot told here. Like, she was a great
Yeah.
ruler. She was rejected by a lot. Her confidence and sanity was slain. Went a little crazy. She ruled, she cried, she died a little inside, sort of hinting that you're fighting a lich now. But yeah, I think that was a fun thing to do. I like making these little stories, and especially with Richard, this is where you actually got the 3 stories about Richard. That's where this happened. Sort of like, stories about him being a hero, a cutthroat, a thief. All of that sort of was there. Yeah, seeding it that stories were important, like you said. Traveled to the Sleeping Hands, which were these sort of stone pillars that grew from the sand. Ended up going down a huge cavern, going through a couple of I find it funny that you guys can fight your way out of a problem, but when it comes to puzzles, man, it's a problem.
We're so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
Wisdom +5.
Finally making way into the Raven's Claw, the secret underground den. Because you got to get that manual. You got to get that journal.
Diary. Yeah.
Learn the secrets about. So a lot of things happen in this chapter, and we're just in chapter 2. I'm gonna try to jump ahead, but essentially went through the trials of Richard, got his journal, learned about. I think his journal actually does mention, like, he mentions a little bit about Evergrey, as well as his companions Miles and Davis. And then you got access to the Nexus, where I think that's when you guys really started to bounce around the world.
Yeah, because that made travel so much easier.
Just teleport anywhere. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, as long as we figure out around at that time 3 locations, we can work this out.
Any questions so far?
I mean, I think you already answered my whole thing of like, when did you figure out that you were just gonna take this thieves guild idea and make it that big? That was already answered, but that's about it.
Yeah, I knew that I wanted a thieves guild that was like, every new generation was being taught by the same voice, and because they were all Kenku, they had no other voice to mimic, so it was just all the same voice. And that was sort of my idea of like, okay, this is Richard's way of staying immortal, is that his voice continues on.
Clever.
I wanted a comparison of the good guys against Evergrey, which I knew was all about. I knew her story, and so I was like, well, each of them have some sort of immortality. Miles is all about this alchemical way of staving the body and keeping it going with like actual alchemy. There was Davis, who was from the Feywild, where a bunch of timey-wimey bullshit happens, where one can probably essentially outlive the material plane if they really wanted to. And then there was Davis, who probably was like, I would like to die, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just have my immortality live on by story.
Richard. You think you said Davis twice?
You said Davis.
Oh, I
you
said
meant
Richard. I mean Richard. Sorry. Richard.
Which I thought that him having like a child is like, oh, that's a nice touch. He's like, he lived his life, but it lived on.
And the child has has been found by the other Richards, as well as probably her life, because she's probably old now. They don't touch her. It's like almost like she's getting her family and her lineage is being protected, yes, but you don't touch that because she never was technically involved. I think this is also where you found. This is where you found a few things. You guys found the Ring of Fire Resistance, a Wand of Blasting. I think some of these things. Hold on. No, hold on. What did you find? Oh, here it is. You found the Moon Jelly Necklace.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Beggar's Strike, which was the cape that looks like a beggar's cloak. The Dealer's Choice, which was Miles's first introduction thing. So it was his first thing. You were only getting an extra 1d4 damage. That's it. At that point, boy, did it grow. And I think this is also where you found the discus. I don't know. Maybe not. I'll have to.
I think it's a little further in. Don't remember though.
It might be. Yeah, I think it is further in. But
Did she still have her headquarters in the desert when we were like that little players, like we were babies still? Because she had her headquarters in Evergreen Desert, right?
oh no, she was always flying.
Okay.
So that was chapter 2. I'm gonna try to speed up as much as I can now. But chapter 3 is you guys went to Varsal, quickly gave the journal to
Well, the fake journal.
the fake journal to Garwin so that you can get the magic taken off you. And then quickly use the Nexus once again to get to Glixen Beach because that's where Mostead was, and so you guys can fix that for Rolly. Had that big introduction. He's willing to sleep with anyone, and then realized what was happening and was like, okay, maybe not. Madame Ellie's traveling band of magic and wonder.
I felt bad for the twins. I remember that.
I think that's the first time we had like a big character death because I remember we were all just sad during that session.
It was the brother, and then it was the big giant dude that died.
You are.
Yeah.
So I have here, it was Moscow Price, was a bartender at the Bottoms Up because he had to make some money. He was also the ex-fire dancer and collective doctor at the Madame Ellie's because he was the only one with some sort of alchemy and healing. Ellie Weaving was the ex-ringmaster. She was also the accountant. Always stressed, always balancing the books. Jency Blight, which was the daughter of Atlas. So I found it was fun to have some sort of because your mother, when we go to Savannah's backstory, was your mother was like, don't go west. Stay here. Because while she didn't know that your father joined up with the spotted back clan, she knew that the Bat clan was there, and they kind of symbolize everything you guys were against. So she, it was interesting for it to have a Tabaxi who has explored the world and going, yeah, they're kind of out here, and kind of confirming a little bit of that and be like, we're not too bad. They're just a little hard asses.
It's like cousin's outliving her life. I can do the same.
There was Barnaby Ross. There was Barnaby, and then there was his brother, and I don't have his name.
I have to look for it.
Oh, James. Barnaby and James, who were acrobats. Mirar was a side attraction. He was a hill giant. And then there was Lucy and Laura Green, who were the Siamese twins.
forgot
Oh, and
about
then Luna.
Yeah.
And Luna.
Yeah. But she was taken at that point. That's why they sort of like not only did all this shit happen, but also Luna was taken. So it was like no one was performing. Mostead was not going to be able to help you until that was fixed, and you guys decided to help him out, breaking into the Lord's manor.
The most, we're gonna go in there stealthily. That meme where it's like, I can't think of his name. Dude that plays Batman, where he's like, the meme when your party says you're gonna go in a building stealthily and you come out and you're all covered in blood. I'm like, that's what happened.
Every campaign, you guys had to fight against a smothering rug.
Oh god. I was gonna say, was this one was set on fire in the rug?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we killed a guy, but then like Broly was like, why don't we just throw him outside? And I was like, won't that like alert them? And we still did that shit. And I was like, this is fucking stupid, but we did it.
See here. I think
That
you found.
place got burned down, no? Like later?
Right, I think so.
No, it didn't get burned down. You guys went through fire though. You went through a fake fireplace.
I thought he died though, because we were like, if we kill him, and then he'll stop like overtaxing the people unfairly.
Well, what ended up happening was that you learned that this guy, this Grimthor was basically like obviously overtaxing people, but also had some dealings with people northwards.
Wasn't he dealing with
Wasn't
the
this
twins?
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't this our introduction to the Blakes?
Yeah, I thought he was like selling body parts to them or some shit.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like in his journal or something.
I
who
think he
was selling
was.
shit to.
Yeah, he was basically selling people to other people. He was like a slaver.
But then weren't they like promising immortality or some bullshit because he didn't want to die? Like he wanted to be young.
I think that's.
Don't remember the immortality, but I remember that this was like we started hearing like, oh, people are doing experiments on people. Why?
Yeah. I think during his notes you learned that what happened to Luna was that she was sort of pushed up north, and so it was all about, all right, let's reconvene, let's let's come together, and then we can start leaving north. And it wasn't until you guys were resting and enjoying a bit of merriment that you guys were attacked by Grimthor, who ended up killing Mirar.
Yeah. I think that's when we killed him.
That's when you killed him.
We were like, we don't need you no more, we're good.
You guys ended up going north, traveled north 2 days, found a peaceful little farm.
That was fucked up, Mike. That was real fucked.
I have Saul and Addie Claudate, who are these old humans. Wanted you to sit down and have some tea and biscuits. Only to find out that they were, what were they, slads?
Mm-hmm. Well, pieces of it, I think. I think it's like pieces of his fingers were making it look like humans or some shit. And then he was in the basement.
Yeah, she was in the basement and she was infected with a slad egg.
Nope.
But you had a cleric on your team.
Wipe that out real quick.
And I think that was I think it was a good medicine check, because we knew metagaming what it was.
Yeah,
At
the
least
moment you
Amber
said
did.
slat, I was like, oh, like, you're fucked. It just depends on what way you're fucked by the color.
Because also, Rolly at the time had a slad egg.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got hit with a claw.
Yeah,
That's
like
true.
you didn't want it to touch you.
And it touched me.
And touched you. In 3 months, you would have died. And an egg would have popped out of your stomach.
Would that have been a mini Rolly?
It would have been a strong
Gosh.
slad.
I shall call him Mini Me.
I'm gonna move ahead. You guys went back to Varsal, met Janelina again, purchased a few. This is the second time, or this is where you bought the bag of holding. Had a date. And I think this is where you guys then traveled to Marigar.
Eventually, I think.
Yeah, this is where you traveled to Marigar. And you met the Gavads. Also met a party that was dealing with the Basilisk that you guys decided not to do.
That came back later in the game.
Yes, true. And during this whole time, Vera has been having dreams. I think it was back in Cleveland City where you got the ring removed too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because we got it checked out. And then they were like, well, I guess we could hang on to it. And then I just like outwardly said, well, it was the fucking general that gave it to me. So if you want somebody to go pinpoint, have at it.
I have here, Vera will dream of her standing in a forest. You'll see two Eladrins running and playing. Details can't be made out, but one jumps from a log off a cliff and lands on the other side. The other one is about to jump and clearly sees them about to fall. Then a light extends with a hand, pushing the child so that they make the drop. And that was when you got the protective bond feature.
I didn't know you were going to put it that far back. I think that was something interesting because we didn't work that shit out. That like Paylor was just like, that's why I said, I was like, she's not a religious by definition character. Because this is just somebody, well, not somebody, like obviously somebody very powerful, but somebody that has been in her life for a very long time. So it's not like I pray to you. It's like I talk to you and whatever conversation we have. That's why even in like at the very end when you were like, he like puts his hand out, I was like, I think normally she would like bow, but knowing their relationship, she crisscross applesauce in his hand like a little kid. Like...
Back in Marigar, this is actually where you guys had the discussion of what to do next, and you all decided to go to Blenton to check out the disease that Rolly has. And I think that was because you cured Luna, so I think Rolly was like, can you do that to me?
Well, I think I did. I think I cured Curse, but there was like a second part of it that Moscow had said like about like, oh, it's infernal, so like you need to go and back and find the infernal component, and once you remove that, then you can remove this.
I guess I jumped ahead.
Yeah, because I remember removing Curse on him, his dad, and his brother, and I don't think your little brother had it yet. I think it was just you guys.
I think eventually Kat ended up getting it, but I think at that point it was just myself, Arad. And yes, there were two components. There was the actual curse itself, and then there was the infernal aspect of it. And I remember you casting the remove curse, which did clear it up, but there were still parts
it was
of
like
it
really
there.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really light. I remember that.
I should also mention when you were in Marigar, decided to go hunting.
Oh yeah, that fucking elk, dude.
And ended up fighting essentially my version of a Jersey Devil.
Oh my god, I just now remember that.
That's now mounted in the season bounty. We were like, here, Mom.
But that was also a little hint of the experiments that the Blakes were doing.
Didn't Vosen find it? Because I remember he was like, oh yeah, some weird shit's been happening. And we went out with him hunting, thinking we were just going to find some weird fucking wolf like we had previously found, and we found that shit.
Vosen...
Surprise!
Yeah, Vosen went out hunting and was like, yeah, I ran into this weird thing.
Uh-oh,
do you mind joining me for a hunt? What was that?
Baby's up. He just yelled, yee.
Baby's up. You want me to stop and do a baby break, or?
Yeah.
All right. We're still doing that, guys, so we'll be right back.
This boy. Sorry. He got on his little feet and was like pulling himself out of the crib, Michael.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, go get him.
And we're back. What's up, Caleb? He's hanging out eating some cheese.
That's the outline of baby.
Oh, on that side, yeah.
Back there.
Here.
Personally,
There you go.
I am jealous. He is having cheese, and I am not.
He's having cheese.
You ate your cheese.
I realized that we're only on chapter 3, and I'm going to try to speed up as much as I can.
Well, I still need to do 2 chapters, and then you can ask your questions.
Ooh, actually, wait, Savannah. Do you have haste? Can you cast haste? Can you cast haste on Mike?
Not that
I'm currently not. I'm like, I'm not Savannah. I do not have spell slots. I'm so sorry.
Boo!
Anyways,
Immersion broken.
where we left off is that you guys were going to I'll sort of put the highlights. You guys were going to Blinton, but on the way you went to Revine. Had a whole Revine adventure where you met Arth in the Shadow. Arcane in the Shadow.
I thought it was
That's
Arthur.
Arcane.
Oh, I've been saying it wrong the whole freaking time.
There's a K in there.
The guy through the window.
Guy through the window.
There was a guy through a window.
Duma.
Yep, exactly. Learned about sort of the Blakes. That's where the Blakes sort of started to slowly come in. Went through a whole haunted mansion.
Mm-hmm. Well, 2 of us did. The other 2 panicked and stayed up until the stairs.
Yeah, Savannah.
The 2 women went through the house, where the biggest one was like, my cubs, and then couldn't figure out the door, and I don't remember what the hell Duma was doing.
I don't remember what Duma did.
I think he was trying to calm down Rolly, being like, it's okay, and just trying to calm down a 7-foot man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no.
It was great to have another guest player jump in, especially a bard, a barely used class within our campaign. Found your fiance and Lily.
I didn't know you were gonna do that though. That threw me.
That was
real
the biggest
hard.
thing. Yeah. But
Said he was buried. Said he was buried over there.
Well, I remember
But that doesn't look like he's buried at all.
Mike describing that we seen the final resting place, but the coffin was open and then like dirt was around it, and then like we had heard Lily in the other room talking to somebody.
found notes about all the experiments that were happening from the Blakes. There was only mentions of Blakes of the Blakes at that point. You didn't actually know. You knew about Oliver and Olivia because you found their rooms. And they were being called like the benefactors at that point because I think you entered in like the final chamber and you caught Lily mid conversations with the Blakes.
Because they were like in the portal mirror thingy.
Had a fight with that. She got away. Uthiel died once again.
That was like the hardest thing. I didn't know you were gonna make me choose. And then like the worst thing on camera was like I chose Sam because technically he's dead. Like she knew he was dead. So it's like in this moment, who do you choose?
Oh wise and powerful God. In those fleeting moments left of life, as Uthiel was resurrected and once again facing death, what was Uthiel thinking when his own beloved wife chose her companion over him?
That's a good question. I feel like I think it was more, it's not like anger or anything. It was probably fear. Because Uthiel is smart, or at least not, he's in tuned enough with emotions, and like, because that's what his whole deal is community and sort of getting to know people and knowing them best and what is what's best for the community. I think it was more of fear, because it's like, my fiance knows how to heal people now. I've seen it during this battle when I was taken over and when I actually broke that connection. Great. Oh, she's not choosing me. What does that mean about me? And I think it was more of like, more of that pit started to grow. Like, I am truly gone for, it feels like, because if I'm not able to be healed,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Well, I think I did some kind of check and you were like the whatever symbol that like Rolly stopped from controlling him that was on him from Lily was like, he's dead. Like he's animated for a period of time, but he's not,
He was
he's
on
not
borrowed
alive.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She got away.
Did Uthiel know that?
I don't think he knew that. I don't think he knew, because there was points where I think you guys were talking and
Did
you were
he
like,
remember dying? Because I remember we had that conversation. Because he remembered like being stabbed in the back, and he assumed it was Lily, but he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just, I remember he said, like, it was just them two that took off because she told them to.
He felt warmness and pain, and then everything went dark.
Yeah.
So he didn't know it was, like, he could assume, but he didn't really know for sure that it was her. He
We were
remembers when
all-
he dies.
We were all like, it was her. Like, we all know. We weren't even there. We know it was her.
He asked how the troops were doing. How's your family? How's your mother?
While we were running?
I have quotes here that were said. Yeah.
Oh, I think I told him I met your dad. Like, while we were running out.
He said, help those who cannot help themselves, who are unable to help themselves, make a world a better place for me. And then he passed.
I mean, he comes back.
As the life left his body, limp, falling to the ground.
Only had to ask a god to do it, though.
I think this was when we finally had downtime. And I think during that period is when you guys were like level 10 at that point? I don't remember. When did you guys become level 10?
It was level 10 because that's how I brought him back. It was when I finally
Yeah.
got divine intervention.
Oh, you could, no, not at this point. You didn't do it at this point because you were not level 10 at this point. But you did bury him, learned about burial rites, trying to move as quickly as I can. Oh, that's it. That's it for chapter 3.
Yeah, I think we brought him back and buried him in like my mom's garden or in a place in like the garden in the way back.
Oh, the last thing that happened in this chapter was you went to Cistern, the Blue Dragonborn.
I like that guy.
Worked for the kingdom, was the archivist, and you guys provided him the green gem, the phylactery shard, and was like, "You're holding a phylactery in your hand, right?" And that he was the one who told you all about like this high level necromantic magic.
Put it back in the bag. Put it back.
It's like, go back, go back.
By the way, that chapter was called "Where Is Family," because it had to deal with Moscow, it had to deal with the Kavads, it had to deal with Uthiel.
Dude, that was the most emotional chapter.
Oh,
'Cause I
and-
remember you guys were like Vera when like we found the sick sibling of the Blakes that was like in that tube, and they were like, "We gotta mercy kill him," and I was just like, "Why is it gotta be me?"
Chapter 4 was called "Into the Fire."
I feel like that's Rollies.
This was a lot of roll. You guys finally made it to Blenton. Met the Barnwells.
That was nice though, because I feel like none of us had like sat down at a table with like a full-fledged family. Mine was like in and out. Here's this dead guy, gotta go. And that was like the first time any of us like actually sat down with somebody's family.
Barnwells were nice because it was always like there was nothing big happening with the Barnwells. Never. Not until later.
No. That's how, normal families
It's
eat
like
and have
simple,
dinner.
simple farm life.
It was so simple. It was like, do you guys want to eat? And you guys ate. And it was like, do you want to sleep? And you guys slept. And it was like,
And
That's
then
it.
We made them put a chicken in Rolly's bed.
That's our introductions to bread bowls, which came to be one of our favorites.
yeah, would love one
And
right now.
lizard on a stick.
With lizard on a stick. That's right.
And then we taught your little brother magic, even though you didn't want us to.
How dare you?
Now he's gonna be like an all-powerful wizard. It's fine.
You don't know that.
You met Vincent LeBeau,
Oh yeah, I do was a trip.
warlock who was patron of Dendar,
Oh,
who was
yeah.
missing the tip of its fang, who wanted you guys to go into the swamp, regardless you were going to go in there anyways because you wanted to fix the Ebon Scourge.
We all got tattoos we didn't want.
All got tattoos afterwards. Yeah, you were being viewed. Your father, or at least Ezekiel, told you about where your mother actually came from. And you actually had, I think you also had the map of the Fire Mother
Yeah.
a while ago.
I think it was somebody that died, right? That we found.
It was it was a member of the clan of the Brand family, or one of the tribesmen
They were
who made it
looking
off
for
the
her.
island but
Yeah.
couldn't survive on Mostead was killed by a random passerby, probably by a bandit.
I think we did speak to Dead on that guy.
No.
No? I
Nope.
thought we did.
No, we just found the map.
Fought the succubus, the first avatar of Zikmoy. And then I think it was like one part was complete of the Ebon Scourge was the infernal part. And then it was all about the disease that was still being spread from this corrupted swamp, and it was like, well, how do you stop that? And I think you guys all learned, like, okay, well, maybe we need to go to Anburn because there's a volcano there, and it's probably connected, and there was sort of this connection there.
There was a connection.
Yeah.
The swamp area closest to Anburn was practically hotter than anything else on that part of Blenton. So we discovered from there that there are tunnels that lead to Anburn.
Yeah.
And that's when we made the connection. Oh, whatever's going on over there is affecting over here.
Exactly.
Remember we had to tell Rolly to knock down a tree so he could like float on it and not burn.
Yeah.
alive?
The swamp water was hot.
Right, because I was hopping above the water and in the trees, and we're just like, okay, tree down.
I was
Go.
like, push the tree in the water and we'll just hopefully survive long enough.
It was hot.
Let's see what else. So you fought the succubus. It says your party level 7. You guys made it to level 7. Look at that.
We did it.
Met back with Vincent. Got marked. Made a deal with him. He got you on a ship, and off you sailed for your sailing adventure. Made it to. There's a lot of things that happen on the water too.
So that-
This is my question. I need to know that.
I just know, but this is the beginning of I'm gonna learn how to sail a boat.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's right. It was the first. Yeah, Savannah's introduction to sailing.
Everybody's options. Rolly slept with somebody and like Sav chose to get an actual skill.
It's like I'm gonna learn a skill. Rolly went to go sleep with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Rolly needs to know what those things in the sky were, those shadows. Like I've always wondered that to this day. Like, what was that?
Oh, those big gargantuan things walking? Yeah, that was a trip. What the hell were those?
So, I was on Pinterest,
Of course you were.
Of course you were.
Finding monsters.
and
It's like this looks cool.
there was this Eldred's image of, like, it was like in the foreground was a boat, and you were looking at the background, and there were these long, thin, like almost like branch monsters.
Mike, you need to fix this cheese.
Oh.
Sorry, I heard like an
Cheese
abundant
fixing.
amount of plastic there, and I was like,
There was these images, and I have to go find them again, but there was these long images of these long, thin, branch-like monsters, and they were like these eldritch black bark creatures, and they were just mid-stomp through an ocean, and I was like, that oceans are huge, like to actually hit seafloor in the middle of the ocean. And I thought about it, I was like, okay, let me see what I could find. And so that's I can't disclose too much, but that's a hint at something further.
oh,
Oh, okay.
You lied to me. You said everything was on the table.
I will also mention that we're still working on campaign 2, so there are some things that have to deal with the second campaign, but I will at least say that much, is that these large creatures are connected to something to campaign 2.
Oh, great. Eldritch horror.
So you can be terrified in a new game.
But yeah, it was a really interesting.
Great.
It was an interesting image, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I knew but at that point I was throwing so much at you guys. At that point, I was like, okay, this is a hint for something later. I can't do this now.
All I know is that I pissed you off with banishment, real hard.
That was after you left the island. You guys did the island.
Yeah, because the banishment was the Leviathan, and that was when we left. That was
Yeah, it
after.
was like on the boat trip back.
I was the butcher back.
Okay.
You guys met it with Olivin.
My
All of
question
it was
is,
cool.
did he ever find his freaking brother on like the Moon Crest, whatever the hell other island that he got a vision of?
So the brother, actually, so Mooncrest. So that was actually on the island of Ironside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it came back later and I was like, that's the name of what's his face, but I couldn't we couldn't ask as character.
That was Ironside's island, and let's just say
Lorcai Island.
yeah,
right?
Lorca Island. Let's just say he got a little too close to the Dreamers,
Oh.
Oof.
and eventually was taken, because that's still a secret that can't be viewed. The only reason why you guys were able to see the Dreamers is because you were prophesized by.
So I'm curious how he got so close, and so the Dreamers actually took him and not the Queen. Like that's almost sadder to me in a way.
It is. It absolutely is. If our schedules were to aligned a lot better with me and Aaron, because I was trying to get him in, but it's just scheduling. He would have been another sort of guest moment, and would have saw that the Dreamers kind of saw this Juridic Furbolg who was getting a little too close to their secrets and was like, I'm sorry, either you stand down or we have to put you down. And much like how Olivan was not one to, turn away from a fight.
That just made me sad.
You guys met a bunch of... This is actually when I started to really dig
Go
my
crazy.
hands deep into custom monsters. You guys fought a Marrow Monolix, which was like this giant bone-sucking moth thing. Yeah, it was really fun.
Not really.
So I'm going to, once again, speed through this, but learned about the Brand family. And sort of where Rolly's mother came from. Ran into Miles and his secret area.
I still like Miles. Like, Vera finds Miles disturbing, but, like, tolerates. But I like him.
But it's one of those things where it's all like, you are batshit crazy. But
Well, like, she will talk to him. It's just, like, the first initial go, like, yeah, we're friends, or at least better acquaintances. But the first initial, like, visual sight that Mike described, I was like, oh, boy.
A 300-plus-year-old human, white
Walks
eyes,
out.
skeletal, bald. He was I wrote here. He actually it's dark skinned, so he was of chocolate persuasion, my man. So yeah, he was living for a very long time, and had a thing for. I think
Didn't his little cocoon thing or his little, like, chariot thing have, like, legs?
I got inspiration from if anyone's ever played Fallout New Vegas, of Mr. House, where this skeletal being who's like in this, basically a coffin, like in this mechanical like construction. So I was like, that'd be really cool to have this alchemist who's been keeping himself alive through these mechanical arms that he's connected to.
Because the house always wins.
Yeah, he was this crazed guy who had a service ball. You met SA-14, this sort of calm robot servant.
Question is, how long was he down there? I guess my only question, because I mean, if he's 300 years old, like, that's kind of lines up right with the queen. So, like, when she went back-ish, I'll censor myself. Like, did he just like find a place to hide? Because I mean, Anburn wasn't well traveled.
No, but
that's how I understood the story. It's like when things kind of got left and they kind of decided to disbar, it's like they all went their separate ways, and he just found a little hidey hole to just live in.
If you look at the map, where the Evergrey Empire is not actually too far from Anburn. It's just a boat ride, because you just have to get to the edge of the island or the edge of the continent, and then, which isn't that far, probably a few days travel, and then travel to Anburn. He did that. He was just like, I want to be close enough, but further enough to keep an eye out and be hidden. So he traveled to another island that was just adjacent, and decided to hide in a cavern successfully.
That we found because we were trying to hide from an owl bear.
Yep.
that Rolly was trying to eat.
I really was trying to eat.
And we were like,
I
not
was
again.
hungry, all right?
I think that
Also
one had a
fire
baby
giants.
too, and we were like, we're not doing what we did to the Griffins. No.
Got a book of Smith spells. This is I think where Oasis Luck Oasis came.
Lucky Oasis came from this.
Yeah. And this is also where Vera got Siphon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you got House's Call. So moving up.
It's a D6 now.
It is now it's a D6 and a lot more options. Went into the Fire Giant's lair. Posed as the Fire Sun. Less posed than more of like trying to convince them. And you guys got the drops on them. Decided to slay as many Fire Giants as you can. Which was rough. So you guys caused a disturbance in the sort of Fire Giants. They had slaves working for them. So a bunch of like other, tribal members were there down there in the depths of the volcano. Freed and found and freed Godrix.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rip. Later learning that the whole reason the Brand family was important is because they descended from this. There was some connection between them and this dragon. Got off, so ended up saving the day on that. Well known with an Anburned at this point.
I think it was all of them that opened up travel, right? Like he was like long-term goal, and then try and open like trade here because we don't get anything.
And then you guys traveled to went back to Vincent, who was by the way, I remember that was the thing, was like you were on a time crunch because he was like, we're gonna wait for you for 3 days, and if you guys don't return, we're leaving.
You gotta kill Fire Giants 3 days and save a whole kick something. Save a whole island.
Save the whole island, rescue all these people, kill all the Fire Giants, solve the mystery, and you got 72 hours. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
I thought we had a week.
Maybe
I
a
don't
week.
think it was 8.
I thought it was like 5 days, not 3.
Maybe it was 5.
I
We'll
think
meet
it was
in
a
the middle.
I think it was a week. Yeah.
This is where you got the carpet. It was in Godric's his stash.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
makes more
okay, that makes
sense.
more sense.
Yeah, and you also found the fire shield in here too. Oh no, the solar flare shield.
Oh, mine.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what? Hey, man, that thing came in clutch.
Then Ice and Shadow is chapter 5. This is where you guys, I believe, traveled to Akota and headed north. So this is where you met Leon.
I liked
Wait,
Leon.
so if that's the case, when we were in Auburn, that's when I got Felix. Right after the succubus.
Yeah, Anburn is where you got Felix.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you get him on Amber or did you get him in the swamp?
She got him in a dream at Anburn.
Oh.
The only reason I remember it was in Amber because I had a whole conversation about it with Olivan right after it happened, and I was just like, "What the hell took over my body?"
Didn't
So-
you like drink the water that had the spores in it?
She had a jar of a spore and
We
it
all
cracked.
took some. Yeah. We had taken some of the water, I think, for Moscow to study, and then you drank it or something.
No, she
I didn't drink it.
there was a specimen.
Oh.
There was a black specimen that surveyed. I asked who had it on their person, and Temple, you were like, I have it on mine, and I was like, it goes to you then.
It's
Well.
fitting.
For some reason in my head, I thought it's because I was the one that pulled the tooth out of the succubus, so I was just like,
I think you collected everything.
I collected everything, so.
Yeah.
He was your friend. That's fine.
Using the Nexus, transferring from Glixen Beach all the way to Akota, then heading north.
That's what...
You met Leon. I think you had downtime at this point, which is where you... Oh, not yet.
It was a while, because I was
It was
like,
a
it was level 10.
Headed north. towards Alrak. And this is where you made it to Alrak.
I think we were dragging our feet on Alarak too, or we were dragging our feet on one of those. We were like, we don't want to go, and then
Was it Alric that we were dragging our feet, or it was
It's cold.
further? It was the one that was further up that we were dragging our feet. We were just like, eh.
I don't think it was.
It's
It was like
cold.
Alrak, and then there was another one. I don't remember if it was a Coda or something, but there was like two in that general area that we were like,
It's too cold.
I mean, you were used to swamps, man. We were sweating our butts off over there, and then like you went from sweating your butt off to freezing
We
it
were
off.
just like, oh, wait, snow.
I think this is, you didn't even have the books and brew at this point, but
No.
you were staying at some inns.
I think that's
and-
the second fight we won that ended. We win like a property or whatever.
No, that was because there was a call to action from Ruby Blair.
Oh yeah. That's right.
And this is where you guys were dragging your feet because it was like, what do we do? At this point, you guys were kind of like free agents. Like there was a bit of like a question of like, okay, where do we go now? And
We warned the other group.
the quest was, yeah, who could get to Mirror Bite first because there was a cutoff
There
of
it
trade.
is.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ended up doing it, but I guess technically the whole point of the quest was just gather information. You guys decided to do way more.
We've solved your problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, you met Roman, who was also on his way to Mirror to find his old tutor and mentor. Learned about a god who ascended down and was ruling over Mirror.
That was sus. That was sus.
God of the wind.
Dude just wants to rule over one city, uh-huh.
Okay.
Went down a cliffside to
Total
find
sense.
a second laboratory owned by the Blakes.
That was like that, what was it, tentacle
That was
shark
the
creature?
underwater
Under
creature.
cavern, underwater thing. Yep.
Yeah.
With all like the levers and stuff.
Rolly actually died.
That was the same about like, Rolly died.
And
So if anybody knows about the potential for those phylacteries, it's Rolly because he's been in one.
Rolly
Not pleasant.
was sucked into the phylactery.
Didn't you die before that? When did that happen?
No, that happened there because we encountered a monster and they were trying to like put us in that circle, remember? And then it would activate the circle and whatever living things were in there, its soul would get sucked into the phylactery.
Yeah.
And me and Rolly were both in the circles, and we both rolled, and
Mhm.
I passed my roll, but Rolly didn't.
So there was a moment there where they were Vera and Savannah had a safety. If Savannah were to have lost that roll, Felix would have got sucked in. I would actually given you a choice. I'd be like, do you want to go or do you want Felix to go?
At that time, it probably would have been Felix because we didn't have our bond
Yeah,
on yet.
you didn't have that. It would have been an easy choice. And then for Vera, if you ever got that chance, it would have been like, you don't get your soul sucked, but the gem, the necklace you're holding, shatters. Because it would have protected your soul. But
Which sounds easy.
Rolly rolled badly, and he was the only one without a protection, and he actually died. I know we retrofitted it later on because we later said that there was a memory taken and eaten from you from Dendar, who essentially an outer being helped you destroy the phylactery when we thought it was Igno.
I mean, he did help.
He did help. Oh, absolutely. He saved Igno. A wizard, a high-level wizard, missing his book.
I still have a note that says get him a new book.
I swear I thought no, we didn't. Okay.
No.
Get him a new book, and then there was another one about talking to Miles about Smith spells.
Oh.
That's like a recent note actually.
Wow. Yeah. He's the inventor of smith spells. He's sort of, like a true blacksmith of spellcraft. Made your way back to Alrak, talked to Ruby Blair, found out that the Blades, that was the group's name. And I remember like they called themselves the Blades, and then Rolly was like, "We're the Axes," because it's like, God, the Blades sounds so cool. I remember that interaction.
We were like, no, we're not.
I remember the Blades were like, "We'll keep some of the cash prize, and you give me whatever, like you give the secondary prize to us, and we'll just give you the
The deed.
deed."
Yeah.
And you guys chose a wizard's tower.
I mean, none of us wizards, but we've chosen.
There was the tower, the church, the town home, and the pub. And you guys were like, F that, we're going to put a pub in a tower, in a wizard's tower. Screw that.
I think because you said it had protections on it, so at the time it made the most sense to be like, well, if we're gonna be in a place, it probably should have the damn protections on it.
If you would have
And
chosen...
then the whole deal of the pub is, I think you were already talking about, oh, the Ravens Kiss needed a new gate. And I'm all like, what if we just did it?
Mhm.
Well, more to Amber's point. We were being monitored
Mm,
that
actively.
too.
We
We
were getting
were.
scried upon, and once we found out that the Wizard's Tower had magic preventing the scrying of the people inside, I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, we were like, we'll figure out the front of it, like what it's gonna serve as a purpose, but we need that part.
So I have here written like the benefits. So the tower, yeah, it says here, it is difficult for divination magic to be used on those within. Can also be upgraded to, you can add another layer if needed, because wizard's tower can be as tall as you want. Church, whenever you sleep inside, you get a temporary 10 plus 10 temporary hit points with every long rest within the church. Also, resurrection spells, regardless of the type, have half cost within the church.
That was the other thing. We was always buying up diamonds. People were
Uh-huh.
just dropping like flies.
Townhome, because you are now a member of the Alrac community, you have a 10% discount on all items purchased within Alrac.
Until they try to kick us out.
Until they try to kick us out.
Actually, I don't think they would have kicked you out unless you had a business.
Well, no, that was like that was their nice way of saying like thank you for all you've done for us, but like you're hooked up to a crazy lich, so you need to move said business somewhere.
Because that was the thing, is that if you would have gotten like the church or a townhome, they, or at least made the tower just like a place to live, they would have been like, okay, you're the only ones at danger as much as that sucks, but you're not endangering everyone else. Because you had a business, it was like, okay, you're inviting people to your homestead.
Yeah.
And then the pub, you would have gotten double money for hired hands, and you would have been making passive income. So you would have got more money with your passive income if you chose the pub. But you made a pub yourself, so who cares?
The idea was too good. We had to take it. It's just like, wait, can I? Yes. Yeah, guys, we got a benefactor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect. Yeah, I would not have taken, now knowing the benefits to all the other properties, I wouldn't have taken it any other way. I think that's still like a really good thing. We did good, guys. We did
It's a good choice out of the options. This is where you hit level 10.
Okay.
And this is where I think this is where Rolly and Gina actually have a serious date. Like before it was just like, let's play date. Now it's like, let's go to someplace nice. I remember asking you specifically, like, how much money did you put down on this date? Because that was going to depend on how the date went.
Are you cheap or are you not cheap?
Savannah went back to back home. This is where we actually met Savannah's family.
Because I think at this point I was still keeping everything secret, so nobody really knew what the hell to think. So
Yeah.
On both
and also
sides.
all me stealing forks finally showed its head.
And then Uthiel was resurrected.
Finally. Again.
Again.
In a better way.
In a better way.
In a proper way.
Yeah.
And the last thing for this chapter is there was a wedding.
What was funny about that was because you and I talked, and I said for sure well, no. I said two options when I made her. I said, depending on how he died, because I made it known that I didn't know how he died. I just knew he died in combat. And I said, if he died of natural causes, like somebody just straight up, like they were in a fight, he died, whatever, like she's going to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
If there was some kind of malice behind it, she's not going to let it go. And obviously we met Queen Bitch, so, you know,
The last thing to go on.
No, but I didn't factor in. I don't know why. For being a cleric, I didn't factor in divine intervention because we were like, you get resurrection at 12th level. So I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this crap to 12th level. And I was like, I forgot about divine intervention.
Last thing we ended was that your father, for Vera, was sent a message asking what happened to Zima.
Oh yeah, because she didn't show up, or she did show up, but then like she didn't answer or something.
Chapter 6 was Genesis. This is when everything kind of got a little buck wild. This is where you had to head to Arrowfield because your sister was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we found that Shiva was missing too. Interacted with our 2 new guest players. We had 2 Minotaurs.
Callum and what was the other one? Can't remember.
I'm gonna see if I can
character.
find
I
it.
feel like they were brothers. It was like Cal and Callum, but then I'm like, I think it was a different name.
Yeah, it's from our friends at Almost Heroes.
I was still laughing that like later in this chapter when we're in some underground thing that all of us rolled natural ones, including Rolly, and it was just Sap up front, and we were just like loud fucks in the back. All of us.
Well, to summarize fully, this is where Savannah, you finally give Felix his name.
Yeah.
And this was because the entire city was taken over by Zikmoy. Fix that problem. Learn that the reason why Zikmoy appeared here in the city is because she's looking for the queen or like those associated, and learned up the mountain was where you need to go to the Tri-Peak Mountains. Went up there, found the 2nd or 3rd secret layer of the Genesis, especially where Jade Rich was, as well as Lily.
That dude's very self-serving.
Jade Rich got the hell out. You haven't seen him since.
I told Mike that I probably would have retconned that like we would have looked for him like after we were done. Instead of like leaving that thread.
Probably something that hasn't come to mind in a while. Sneaked inside the base with Jade Rich's help. He was like, if you help me out, just get me out. Do whatever you want. Oh, what's up? Oh, okay, perfect.
I'll take that opportunity to ask a question because I'm curious. So, question's actually for you, Savannah.
Mm.
What was the inspiration behind naming your friend Felix?
Yeah.
So what you kept saying is like, you need to name your friend. You need to name your friend. I'm like, I have no idea. And then this is gonna sound so fucking corny. I saw something Felix the cat related earlier that day. It is something as simple as that. And I'm just like, I like that name, Felix. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go with Felix.
So Felix the cat and Savannah.
It makes sense.
Makes sense.
It actually makes sense.
It actually does. I'm trying to find out here. I think this is where you learned about the notes from Lily.
Yeah, we did. And I took them.
Yeah. Killed her. At least 2 of you met the Blakes.
Yeah, that
yeah.
was a cluster, man. I was like, there's no way. I remember being so torn in that moment of like, let's go. But we were all at like 5 hit points and Rolly was just like passed out at like 3 hit points or some crap. And I was like, there's no way we'll die.
Because we're like, Portal, go. Portal, go. We gotta go. So.
Go on.
And I was saying, I'm like, and also I think the base was destructing. Am I remembering that?
Yeah,
right?
it was like a self-destruct moment.
Yeah.
During this period, you had a downtime, and Rolly became a warlock for a moment. There was a period where you had some magic.
Again, everyone, this was my first barbarian class, and for those of you that don't know, I have been playing warlock characters for probably the last 6 years or so. So warlock is what I know. I've branched into your standard Tiefling warlocks with Rallius. I've done Hexblade warlocks. That's kind of my jam.
Yeah.
And now finally playing barbarian, realizing I really like the up in your face, like, you know, tit for tat style play with barbarians. I really like enjoy raging and all that, but I'm missing something at range.
You missing
and
something
I'm not-
tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm missing the at range thing. Like I can't. In order for me to mess with you, I have to get up close and personal. What about the ride there? What can I do on my way to you? There's got to be something. Oh, I should multi-class.
Yeah.
I should do warlock. And I discovered very, very quickly why that is not a good idea.
It's very limiting because you can't rage and cast a spell, which is very, very limiting. We worked around the class prerequisites through story. We said that you did have a interaction with Dendar, and if you were to make a deal with Dendar, then we can skip that prerequisite. And so we retroactively said, when you were in the phylactery, that's who you called upon, or that's who called upon you and was like, do you want out? Okay, you're mine. And when I decide, I'll enact like you're a sleeper agent now. And that's when you woke up and now you're a warlock. You guys took place in the Lunar Coliseum. And this was a point where you guys also had to fight each other.
This is where we fought like the Wraith, huh?
The what?
Wasn't there like a Wraith?
No.
Or was that the previous one? I know there was one. I thought
That
me and
was-
Rolly had to fight it, and then we had to fight each other.
Oh, no.
Huh?
That's at the
Oh.
the volcano.
Oh, okay.
No, this is the time me and you fought each other, and at first we were just messing with each other, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna win this. So I'm just
I
like,
remember you told. I think you said it in character too. You're like, just hit me.
that's why I was like, Lucky Oasis. Look, there's 3 of me. Go.
And I was,
It lasted a bit.
you're like, I don't know. I was like, I don't have to hit you if you don't want me to. And you were like, no, just hit me. Get it over with.
We'll just make this fun.
There was a tight fight between Vera and Rolly, though. There was a
Yeah.
moment where I think she hit you like an inflict wounds, and you were like, "Oh, that hurt a lot."
I think we were pretty
May
close.
I have some more?
We were pretty close.
was
but you got
close.
through my hit points faster, so I was just like, damn.
I definitely will say, like of all the campaigns I've done, I think I've had the most fun with having like Vera as a companion, because like, man, like it's nice to know someone there that could stand toe to toe with the amounts of damage you can push out, and like even though like, okay, maybe I might have had an upper hand in terms of like physical power. No, Vera has plenty of tricks in the bag to really like close out that gap. So that was very pleasant, and all of our encounters where we would go against each other, pleasant. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's just roll the dice and see where it goes.
Vera's the type of person where she would like, I hit you, I reduce damage, and then I use a bonus action to heal myself, and it's like, you bitch.
I think
Sorry.
that was telling though, like in our first encounter, because it was like, okay, does anybody want to go up against Rolly for like arm wrestling? And I was like, I'll go up, because I'm like, obviously she wasn't as strong as she is now, like probably. And it's like, but I also like live in a forest and like fight off wolves and crap, so maybe I could try.
You know, of all the challenges Rolly's ever received, Vera was not one to back down, and
Yeah.
that's what gave me the most respect. Like most respect. That was awesome.
Also during the Lunar Coliseum is when you learned that that Garwin Kem was actually siphoning money, and sort of there was also like he was trying to uproot the Raven's Kiss and trying to make his own thing going on, and that was definitely like a Savannah moment because you were kicked out somewhat early, and I was
Yeah,
like,
when I got taken out, because I let Vera just be like, just kill me. I'm just like,
Oh yeah, because you went sleuthing around.
you went sleuthing around and you found that
Yeah.
out.
His brother was so nice, total opposite. I was like, dude, how is that D-hole your brother? What happened to him?
I think the last thing that was done is, I think it was like Uthiel was revived at that point, and he caught wind that Troop 14 was like in Uuldale.
Oh, because they got like called up for they got deployed.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was like, it's weird that they're deployed because there's not like a reason, like a real reason to be deployed at this this point in time, and that's why he was like, you need to go look into that because they're not allowed to come back.
And I think he was with you at the time.
One of those times he was like early on.
Yeah, and you guys went out there, and on the way there, you guys got surrounded by a bunch of zombies, and it was led by the Changeling, who
Did we kill him
Troop
then?
14 came in to aid you guys at the last minute, got some healing, got some damage, and you learned more details about the Changeling and Savannah's connection. And then it became a thing of like, okay, we need to go to this island. I'm trying to.
Was that when I got the dagger?
Oh, the detect
Was that-
magic.
I think so. That is
No, not that dagger.
no the curse
Oh.
dagger.
The cursed
I
dagger.
totally forgot about that.
No, the cursed dagger drove me insane because I literally could not talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like Mike was just like, "You can't talk about this." And I remember when it happened, and I looked at and I said something to Steve, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Shit."
There was that moment though was too perfect when we were in, not to fast forward, Mike, but when we were doing vampire-ish, and then I was like, "Let me cast holy weapon," or "Let me cast whatever I was gonna put on your weapon," and you were like, "Okay," and then I was like, "Can you hand it to me?" And then you were like, "No," and I was like, "You just said." What
But
do you
here's
mean?
the thing. Before we even got to that point, twice you had did the feast spell, and did you not realize both those times I literally walked away?
Yeah,
Well,
because she
one
could
of
not
those
heal
times,
like that.
we did it by accident because I was like, "Oh, okay." You went to be the nosy in the tent, and then like me and Rolly were like, "We're not dealing with that. Like it'll last an hour. If you come back, you come back."
I think the curse, it was called the Risk Taker. It was 3d6 plus your dex for damage. The boon is that you can cast haste on yourself once per turn, or once per round, or once per long rest. However, every time you are magically healed, you must now permanently remove a hit die from your total. You may not get these hit die back from your long rest. You do not get these hit by, they'll come back. And once all of your hit die are removed, you fall unconscious and immediately must make some death saves.
How close were you when I finally figured that out? Or we role played
At
it out?
that point, I think we role played it out, but I think at that point, I think I got down to 7, because there was a couple times where I couldn't avoid it, so I was just like, fuck. But every time I tried to avoid it, I did. And I think you guys didn't catch on until I got my ass handed to me by those vampires, because then you guys were just like, what the hell were you thinking? I'm just like,
Yeah. You met Raimi Hardy.
Mm-hmm. Pleasant.
I love that character design though.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it was like this green makeup woman, clearly
Earth
born,
Genasi.
born without arms, but having this kind of like gems. Because I was like, I want to make an Earth Genasi who doesn't look like an Earth Genasi, and I was like, well, she probably has like gems growing out of her forehead a little bit, and a little bit out of the shoulders and ears, and cheeks. So it's less of earth and more of like things that grow from the earth, like actual gems. Being a what is
Babysitter.
what was that?
She was our babysitter.
She was our babysitter.
Because I forgot what happened. Because it was the domain found out that Lily was in the domain and causing havoc at the Tri-Peak Mountains, and was like,
we turned over all the docks, I think, to the
Yeah.
king, because Uthiel had like walked in, and it was like, by the way, he's no longer dead, and like we turned all that stuff over, but in turning it over, like she logged that she was in the domain.
yeah, and so that became an international incident, and it was
Yeah.
like, we need to have someone who discovered this. Go watch them for a bit.
Because it was considered like almost like an act of war at that
Mhm.
point, because she was a general.
Yeah.
And speaking of war,
Oh boy, chapter 7.
Oh.
Uh,
Well, I
I-
think vampires were before war.
labeled this.
Is it that was after?
I labeled this past echoes, and I think what occurred here is you guys visited the Golden King's grave.
Other vampires.
Met the other. This is where vampires really started to get into it.
Oh, that poor guy. I also had a mercy kill. You know, next campaign, don't make me mercy kill nobody.
I mean, you were like the cleric. You were like their closest thing to a priest. So
DM note for future campaigns: any mercy killings must be done by Vera.
I will say this: it's going to be difficult to not like I've made a rule for myself that I will not reuse monsters like in the way I have. I try to limit it. You know, you guys have not ran into a single hag.
Hey man, I like the hags though. She was my friend.
I think for
to be fair though, like there's like it's a massive sprawling world of all sorts of organic and inorganic things. Like I don't see there being a problem if because there isn't such a thing as like one hag in the world.
Yeah.
There's usually groups of them and they're scattered all about, same as other things. Like we ran into a clan of like fire titans, right? Or fire giants. Makes sense. Now if you like station them at specific points in the world, then it obviously would make sense. The fire giants were in a hot territory. They were with the volcano. All right, makes sense. But like with hags being so dispersed out there, I wouldn't be surprised. What I did like was your use of experiments, of things that don't exist naturally in the world.
It's fun.
That are one-offs because they are experiments.
Yeah.
That
I was gonna
actually
say I
fun.
like your like splicing of creatures. Not necessarily like experiments, but like the moth thing was cool. Deadly, but cool.
The peppered moth was a thing.
No, not that one. The big one and the
No.
Anbird giant.
We don't talk about those moths.
Nah,
Please.
those are just dicks.
Please, we don't talk
There
about
was
those.
the
We didn't
shark
like that
octopus. There was the sharktopus.
that
The
was
one
the
that-
cavern monster, wasn't
Mhm.
it?
The like bone
remember
moth
that.
thing that came.
Yeah,
That thing.
there was the bone moth.
Or the
And like
the mirrored elk thing was crazy too. Like
yeah, that was actually really cool. But I was gonna say, like, it's a common video game trope that you at level 1 fight a very specific type of monster, and then later on, as you progress and you level up and you get stronger, you fight that same thing again, so that it's a clear path of how much you've progressed, how stronger you are now, and how different you handle it now versus back then. So, I don't find the problem with it, but I mean, I don't like it, but I respect your right to do it.
I will say this, and this is going to be a promise for campaign 2. Obviously, we had campaign 0 way back in the day, and I used a bunch of monsters. Campaign 2, or campaign 1, this one, we went for 4 years, and I used a bunch of creatures. Promise to campaign 2. They're all back on the table.
we will fight a rogue.
I want everyone watching this to clip him saying that, because I expect there
We didn't
to
get
be
a chimera.
that kind. Yeah, yup.
So where's our
Thank you.
chimera? Where's our
Yup,
chimera?
where's the chimera? In our moment of aid.
Everyone starts off, instead of with level 2,
We're negative.
level 1. Fuck you guys.
And the chimera still nowhere to be found.
I swear, I'm gonna get that put on the shirt. Where's our chimera?
We should have that as a shirt. I feel like it's not a known joke for this campaign though. But it is a known joke for the Almost Heroes fans, the
Mhm.
one-off that me and Mike did for them, because even that came full circle, and I died when we were in the one shot.
I
and
killed the
had
chimera.
had to explain to John about why that was so funny.
Chimeras and dogs, Mike. Why?
I don't know.
Noticing a trend.
You killed the baby after we saved it.
I got real sad in this chapter because we almost had a guest player play as Captain Jack.
Oh God, this.
It was supposed to be Titan,
Oh, they should
Aw.
have
Titan Dish Killer, but she was due to scheduling, she had to drop out last minute. But we already had her character ready, so I was able to just sort of NPC it.
Oh, it wasn't Titan. It was Loaf.
It was who?
Oh, it was low. Cause
Oh, Loaf, you're right.
I forgot what it is now. There's an
Oof.
adjective before loaf, but now I just remember.
Burnt, burnt
it was like
toast.
burnt toast, and then it was
Yeah.
crispy loaf
Yeah.
or something.
So we were going to have another guest player, but unfortunately due to scheduling couldn't happen. But we ended up, I already had their character ready, so that was perfect. Made your guys' way to another sea adventure, to an island of vampires. Pirate vampires.
Fighting for a rule.
Met Belladonna Fortune.
I appreciated that character
I
because
actually
Yeah.
ended up really liking Belladonna.
I feel like she
Didn't
was
wanna fight her.
the only one maybe there was others, but like the only one, with the exception of Ruby Blair and like the Domains Queen, that was like, yeah, no, I effed up. Like I gave these two idiots power, and I thought I was doing a good thing, but no, I done effed up. Could you fix it?
And I will say this, Belladonna was one of the things you came up with I did not want to fight.
Yeah.
Rolly wanted to fight her, and Vera and Sav were like, nah, I think we need to leave this one alone.
Rolly wants to do a lot of things. Steve did not want to fight her.
Belladonna comes from a long line of vampires, and she went out on her own to become what she is, and she became a full-on. She's the sovereign of this entire island. Basically, you don't want to F in this island because it's a bunch of cutthroats, and she rules it all.
The Belladonna arc humbled the fuck out of Savannah because it was just like, yep, nope.
Don't steal from that one. Nope, nope, bad hand.
Well, the bad thing is I still did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She still doesn't know we had the blood.
No, I rolled a natural 20. She will never know.
She was looking for that vial.
She was looking for that vial.
Where it is. Blake's got it.
I
don't even remember what the hell I told her.
The vial, if you guys forgot, it was called Starter Blood, and it was like essentially like a progenitor vampire, and she wanted that for. She wasn't gonna tell you.
And I gave it to the guild for safekeeping because we're just like, she wants this for a reason. Why? So
Why
we're gonna
did she
keep
want
this one.
Yeah, great question.
So the vial itself, it was a reagent that can be altered in ways depending on who's using it. It can either inflict or cure vampirism. And so,
Which for her reason makes sense.
she didn't want to. Yeah, she wanted to essentially. I left it open because it was going to be a discussion between you guys and how the interaction happened. If it was like you guys were making friends, then she might want to cure it. You know, but
Her or just those minions?
herself.
Oh.
She didn't.
Yo, no
Because
way.
I was like, I don't think she gives a crap about these guys, because she was like, go kill them. So I don't think she thought she was gonna cure them. I was like, who's she curing herself?
Regrets.
But that was
regrets. Why weren't we friends with her?
But that was gonna be a hard. That was gonna be a hard pass. Like that was gonna be one like you had to pass a lot of checks to her to go. Maybe it is worth humanity, like my humanity. But that's a lot of convincing and a lot of like natural 20s.
I don't see her doing it.
The
I
last
don't
one.
see her doing
The last one was to inflict vampirism on a wide scale.
Oh, okay.
And
All right, now it makes sense.
so that was like the two altars, and so the problem with vampirism is that when you have a thrall under you, you control them, and so she was gonna have a full-on army of vampires under her own control. She was about to wreck town. She was like, I own an island. Why can't I own a continent?
Why can't I own the world?
So full on
Give the boys
disclosure,
snackies.
she was gonna be a big problem in campaign 2. Because if you guys gave her the vial, she would have been like, thank you, and then there would have been a dark shadow of vampires.
But we did it.
So I guess we do owe a bit of kudos to Savannah for making a very wise decision and not handing that over. Of course, eventually Belladonna will find out that it is not a real, progenitor vial, and therefore will come after Savannah aggressively. So we'll have to deal with that.
I mean, at this point, if she hasn't figured it out, no, because we had 2 vials, we kept one. What
We
did
didn't give her
tell
the
her?
vial.
You told her that that there was no vial.
That was
Oh,
destroyed.
You
Right.
told her that it was destroyed, and you rolled a natural 20, and I think it added up to like a 25 plus.
Yeah.
Like that.
And
That's why I was like, you're like, you said it, you roll it. I'm like, oh, me.
and it came to like a 25 plus, and it was like you deceived her, like saying it was destroyed, and she was looking deep into your soul, and she was like, okay, that sucks. Guess
So
I'll
she
just
let it
have to
go.
be okay with this then.
I was like, woo.
She tasked you to go kill some of her generals who were kind of doing their own ish. Ran into one of the generals who was in a temple of the dreamer. Ended up dealing with that final thing. Came out quite happy because you made Belladonna nice and happy.
I want to put like that was like a one-hit kill. Like, I mean a turn. Like we brought her down, I think, to death.
Oh, one of the generals. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys dropped down a ladder.
We had a lot of planning though.
Multiple hits, dead in one turn.
It's like, hold on, Vera, make some holy
High
water.
five, everyone.
It was
High
mostly
five.
like, okay, we have this,
Oh,
we have
yeah.
this, we have this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the dagger. You're gonna go in with the holy water. It's like we cannot let this happen because we had Leon with us at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did we figure
and-
out Sam's thing before we killed her? Because I feel like I had to do that for
It was
holy
before.
weapon.
It was before.
Yeah, because I think this, like the third time you went to the castle, the queen wanted to talk to you about the whole like, or the king wanted to talk to you about the whole, you know, dealings on with an arrowfield, and you had to relinquish your weapons. And Savannah has a problem, can't relinquish the weapon, and there was a quick insight of like what's going on.
I thought we did it there at the vampire thing when I was trying to
Yeah, we
bless
were
it.
on the vampire island.
But you had that
and-
knowledge prior.
Oh, got you.
Like Vera knew about like there's something odd with Savannah and that dagger, but the subject never came up until the vampire.
Yeah, until I said hand it to me.
Yeah.
And you couldn't.
and I was just like, no.
Then you were met by Evergrey.
Ugh.
And
Not my-
quick fight and quick realizing we gotta go.
My brain was on fire. I was like, what do I got? What do I got? What do I got? Oh crap, leaf! Leaf!
Went through the Feywild, had a Feywild adventure, found your uncle. Let him use the leaf so he can cure himself of this time poison.
I didn't think that was gonna work. I was like, oh, please let us bring him back. I don't want to be stuck.
I want to share an image, by the way. I've had this image for a while. This is obviously way before Baldur's Gate. But look, who is this? This was one of the elves from the Eladrin tribe. So I'm gonna put this in host chat. Who does this look like?
Oh.
Looks like Helsing.
Yes.
So, got shunted out of the Feywild and ended up on another island of Dragon Island.
The Feywild was a trip, but yes.
Ended up Dragon
The
Island.
bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got back to Dragon Island and met up with Mostead once more. And finally got out of Dragon Island. And see what happened.
Well, I mean, we had an epic fight.
You had an
and a lot
epic
of
fight
food.
with Evergrey again. You came back from the Feywild. She was like, "There you are."
I think that's where we learned about, like, oh no, the first time when she was like, oh, the lapdog is stupid. Like, that's not, I wasn't actually going to make her a lich.
Yeah, that's when she sort of like, you killed my... Yeah, when you guys rushed to the Feywild first time, she was like, why'd you have to kill my dog?
Yeah.
I'm trying to hurry, but chapter 8, after fighting Evergrey and getting back to the Mostead, the continent, it's called Upside Down. I think this is when we started to get real stressful.
Yeah. It was like, we're not sleeping.
Who needs sleep?
Because she kept popping up because at that point.
Well, it wasn't that she was popping up. It was like threats kept popping up. Like all her stuff was coming out.
Well-
of like the raining dead and all that stuff.
No. During your time at the Feywild,
Oh yeah.
everyone at the Books and Brew got arrested. The king died,
Right. Right.
and you had to deal with those two problems.
The general died, or
The general
Templeman
died.
Then we brought her back.
Learned a little bit more about Moscow's background, especially his alchemist side.
Olivia Blake killed her brother.
We're not there yet.
But that was
we're not
in
there
all
yet.
that.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
but I wanted.
Because we had to get them out of jail and prove
Yeah.
prove that we didn't kill the king.
Yeah, this was a plan executed by Olivia. No, Olivia killed the king while Oliver killed Templeman.
That's why I was like, those paths led there to them.
Um,
I think Vera almost died on the hill. I think when we were finding the wand or whatever that was used on the king, because I went unconscious.
Oh, right, right,
And
right.
you were like, Uthio feels your pulse drop, and I was like, I'm okay, I swear, I'm up.
I wanted to introduce a mystery for you guys to solve. So that was the whole, you know, the halfling who saw the murder happen but was actually mind altered. Another person who was being blackmailed
That
to
prick.
create a thing. There was the fight at the post office.
Although I actually really enjoyed that fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never
I
had to
remember going up
intimidate.
that tower that we were at.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I remember Rolly surviving a 6-story drop straight to the ground.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so cool.
Having to roll for a Pegasus. By the way, Mag, I can do this.
Oh, that was when you went to, yeah, that's when you were trying
The
to, that's
tower.
not the arrest, that was the death of the king and then having the fight.
Yeah.
That all happened, yeah.
That was in the clock
Fighting
tower.
in the clock tower, going up to the mountain to see that there was alteration of magic of making it smaller, but making it go further distance. We now have an inspiration to
Rolly's-
Barnwell
Rolly's
alchemy.
Eureka moment.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a thing. Okay, because remember we have a very proficient cleric in our party, and then we have a spell casting trickster, and no one could solve that. But the one who has no innate magical powers, through the sheer power of my will alone and my intellect.
Oh,
You're like,
something,
the hole got small.
something we skipped over real quick. During the Feywild adventure, you relinquished your warlock
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and traded that for fighter.
I like how big your eyes got when they were like, oh, give me a memory for, what did we get? We got like a protective dream catcher.
You got a
or
little
something?
dream catcher.
And I was like, oh, here, you can have the memory of Dendar because I don't want this anymore. And then you were like,
I was I was like, it means the deal never happened and your tattoo went away.
Rats.
And then
It's not gonna come haunt me later. No.
baby,
maybe
you
I don't
didn't
know.
want my thing.
No. No.
It's like I gave you a gift.
Yeah, you rejected my gift.
I enacted the return gift receipt.
I have the receipt. I returned it. I'm still within 30 days.
By the way, something I would like to mention. After figuring out the death of the king and fixing that whole mess, Savannah was given the mirror goggles from Cistern, aka Future Sight. He informed you that after using it, it would then start recording to see how any actor effects would happen, and then you can just return it to him. I assume eventually you would. In canon, he would learn about the Raven's Kiss because of that.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh. Be like, you're an honorary member now. You have to come work for us. Come kill
So
Cistern. He's nice. He helped us.
it would
Tell that to the guild.
it would sort of. Cistern kind of wrote his own death at that point.
There you go.
Eventually he is a curious person who learns that there's a clan, there's a thieves guild that has a bunch of artifacts because of Thogmore, and eventually would try to visit himself and get slaughtered. But that also leads to another thing I was saving to the end, is the kingdom doesn't know that Cistern was slaughtered because a double agent was put in place, done by the Thieves Guild, by the Raven's Kiss. So there's a fake Cistern out there working for Raven's Kiss who's taking the place.
Nice.
Have to dig your claws in somewhere. They're not good people, by the way.
I always took them as like they're net neutral. We're not good, we're not bad. We just have our own ways.
Yep. I think this is also when Savannah got upgraded to agent instead of just a member. Let's see here. During this period, you also had dreams that were foreboding. sort of telling a little bit of the future. There was the one with Felix and Savannah, where you were in a dungeon. That kind of hinted at the flying castle, Flint Castle, as well as hinting sort of the underground space that your father was working at. You got Rolly, who dreamt of a mirror maze with 2 cats. Once again, hinting at one of the... Basically, there's a fake cat out there now, who happened to be Oliver. And then there was Vera, who dreamt of a large vase or jar with a pale woman inside.
We talked about that though.
Who was once again hinting at Lily. I knew she was going to be a last thing, like a last epilogue thing. I was like, way back then.
Because I was like, when you did the description, I was like, there's only 2 people that got those kinds of eyes. And one is Evergrey, and one is that bitch. So I was like, who's coming out of this jar?
I will be honest. I don't think there was ever a possibility of really figuring that out.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was doomed. Just that was gonna happen, and there was nothing. Like the way I see life is there's multiple paths and decision points that happen across each path, and when you make a decision that is different from your current path, it changes you to another path, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that there's any point that could have happened that would have changed that trajectory. It was just nope, gonna happen. Can't stop.
Well, the way we ended this chapter is we were sort of in a downtime moment, and one of the downtimes was visiting the Barnwells, specifically even after having that dream, and getting together with the family, having some fun. There was 2 new mercenaries there because of Vera's father sending protection down there, and then learning that Kat was an imposter all along. Almost killed Gina Lee, which is a great I was so excited. I was like, man, if I could get Gina Lee off this board as an evil villain, it's such a win for the bad guys. I think it was Savannah who had Dispel Magic, who was like, I gotta rush and do that. Because I think one of your daggers has it.
No, my dagger has Detect Magic.
I think
so
I
had
had
to
dispelled
figure
it. I think she figured it out, but like I had to go through the portal.
Got it.
To undo it.
Because
I had to drop them out.
That's true. And so Rolly was trapped in a cage, had a fight with Oliver, so it was very much like I was trying to get you guys separate as much as I could. It was getting kind of hardy until finally you were able to drop him, and he was going to dimension door out, got counterspelled by his sister, and the sister was like, have at it, he's a weak link.
The most memorable line from that entire thing: despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. Saying that over and over. Oh my god, that was so good.
Chapter 9. This is the longest one, by the way, and I'm going to try to just jump and skip as much as I can.
Like we did the most up until the fight.
Oh, no, this is not. This is called The Calm. This chapter's called The Calm.
The calm before the storm.
Calm before the storm. Rolly. Oh, yeah, this is actually... Is this a short chapter?
We're pretty free.
No, this is not this short. This is not a short chapter.
Yeah, those last couple of chapters were pretty involved and pretty intense on many levels.
A lot of downtime moments in this one. This was Rolly exercising and training with Hannah. This is Savannah making use of her position and able to control a little bit of the Raven's Kiss and sort of sending them on missions.
This was the point that the Ridgers lost their voice.
This is the point. Yeah, because that's right. This is where they lost their voice. So it was up to you and Leon and the rest to sort of really handle the clan or the guild for a bit. And then Vera doing community service work. And then I think this is where where the 3 met or finally got together, Richard, Miles, and Davis.
Yeah. I think I had to tell Davis. Like, don't be disappointed.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, this is also when Rolly got invited to Lorca Islands to fight in the Champions of Champions. You guys did so. Also learning that oh yeah, then you did that and learning about Queenie.
Oh yeah.
And then now finally learning about the Dreamers.
We got a lot of trouble in this one.
A lot happened.
Touch the book? No, don't touch the book. Touch the book. That's what happened.
Right in the book.
Going into the Astral Sea?
I like how both Vera and Sav told Rolly, don't touch the book after Sav tried to touch it, and then he touched it.
By the way, when making Ironside, I know I'm jumping around, but making Ironside, I wanted to make someone who was very much true neutral. And his only goal was, can I fight strong people today? And you're like, well, Evergrey's going to destroy the world. And he's like, that's my problem. Why? And she's like, well, because Evergrey was trying to take over Mostead because she wanted to rule again. Mm-hmm. And he's like, is that going to be my problem? Why? And you're like, because she's going to kill a bunch of people. And he's like, I guess you might end up killing some strong people who I want to fight.
And we were like, you could kill her.
He's like, all right, killing a lich, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to go dragon with that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a thing. I've been looking forward to fighting Ironside for pretty much the entire campaign, and then it finally rolls up and we defeat him, and I'm like, yes, I am better than you. Wait, what are you doing?
It's like
Wait,
dragon.
wait, what?
Yeah.
You're what?
Excuse me, sir.
I knew I wanted Ironside to be something greater. I didn't settle on dragon until very late in the campaign, and it wasn't because the Fizzban Dragons book came out.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's like true neutral dragons who don't give a ish about money or gold. They care about prestige. Oh, that's Ironside to a T. Perfect. Oh, we found exactly the type of dragon he is.
So it took something not human to actually stand a chance to roll it. If that isn't the greatest, like, job well done, Steve, then I don't know what it is.
It is. It absolutely is.
Oh, it brings a tear.
Well, I was like, there has to be, even in game, we were like, there has to be more to him if he's gone undefeated for this long. Like, surely someone has tried to beat this guy.
He never lost. It was his first loss.
I mean, to be fair, Three Griffins went through plenty of fights and didn't lose, and here we are. And
Yeah.
we're all just people.
You had to run a few.
Straight up.
You ran
no.
from a few fights.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm like, we're not clear across the board and like.
Hey, did we
non-defeated.
lose? Though?
Did we die?
Did we die?
Some of us did,
oh.
and we got brought back.
Hey. We're
Repeat,
talking
got
about
my ass handed to me by a bunch of vampires.
we're not magic items notwithstanding, all right? We're talking about like combat scenarios. Did we ever die? No, we did not.
During the fight in Ironside's Coliseum, I liked that there was a few moments that were really fun. There was Edna Winter, a tired fighter from Nomad,
smoked.
who always smoked. And when I like that moment when Rolly was like, I have to kick her off the arena, and she was like, just light this for me, please. You're like, God damn, you're so cool. And you lit it, and you're like, bye. And he's like, later.
So cool. Ah!
There was Shiovana the wizard who had like this light blue tiefling who was like an illusionary wizard from Ventir, Cormac.
Oh, yeah. She got taken out first.
Yeah.
I think I took her out. I was like, oh, I liked you. Sorry.
And then there was Queenie from the Dreamer's Flock.
Yeah, that was creepy.
It was fun. And then there was Lorcan Laus from the Domain, who was this ice wizard or ice sorcerer who did some serious effing damage. There were some fun people. But going through, yeah, then you guys went to, I think that was the most stressful, I think, was at the end of this chapter, which you guys went through the Astral Sea, went through the whole Dreamers saga, the whole arc there, and sort of learning about the secrets of what, like, it was like, now you're finally getting into it. Now you're seeing the full picture of like there is a dreamer, there's a beholder out there who can perceive and push in thoughts and ideas and prophecies.
And we still didn't get it right. We were like, she gonna wake him up.
Funny is, I remember after that specific day, like all of our brains were just like, wait, it means what? Our minds were just blown that entire day. So good job on that.
I think what really set it off was that you guys came back to the material plane, and the bright lights from Mostead came down and started to really cause some havoc.
Yeah, that one was rough.
Yeah.
That is where the pain began. Emotional damage I will never recover from.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, the hiccups. Chapter 10. This is the last one. The Storm is what it's called.
See the calm before the storm.
The calm, the storm.
How do you get off the islands to get to to Varsal? Because that was you had to get to the Nexus to start teleporting and talk to the three. What is it? Godric's found you guys and was like, "Come on, get on my back, hurry up!"
I think because I sent a message to Miles, right?
Yeah.
Of, like where we are, what happened, and then he was like, "Great, I know where you're at." And he sent a drive.
I'm sending help. A lot of friends perished, or taken. So there was Igno who got basically obliterated.
I still feel bad about that one.
I need to know
That was like-
spoilers, but I need to know that there's a very important person to me, to Rolly. I need to know in what order, like, they went out in. How far was I? In theory, could I have done anything to alter that course?
Oh, to like save them? I mean,
We can talk about that later, of course.
no, I mean the abduction happened, so
Was he in wave 1? No spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers. He was in wave 1.
That actually brings up a good question. How did you choose who was getting abducted?
Abducted. Yeah.
I'll give you a hint.
You just rolled it.
No, just like, how do I screw with them first? Okay, these ones, and then I will take.
I wanted to select NPCs who I knew that there were going to be a bunch of no-name NPCs that were going to be taken too. Like, Full of Mostead was devastated. It's not just you guys; it was a lot. But there definitely was a hit list on some important key figures in your lives, just to really drive that knife and twist it. So I did make a list of a lot of NPCs that you guys knew and were cared about, and I was like, okay, who in this list?
Didn't you roll?
I did. I had a long list of like maybe 50 people, or it was a lot, and I started to roll and started getting that list down, and I wanted to get at least 10. I was like, 10 lives are on the line, 10 important people, and a few people were there in the first round. So yeah.
So let's get to that, because I got questions about that.
Perfect. You guys made it to Aurak. You ended up going over to the Raven's Kiss, learning from that there was something happening, and essentially, you guys destroyed, I think, 2 phylacteries at that point, and it became a thing of, if you go into a battle with Evergrey, there's no point, because if you kill her, she's going to come back. So it came to a race of, can we destroy this last phylactery that you guys have as quickly as possible? And so you guys traveled to meet Viros, the messenger. Amber's like my best friend, Paylor, and got that done, got that smashed. And then it became a race to be like, well, where do we find her? Well, you couldn't find her because she was still traveling in this large cloud that was dropping undead.
He just goes. Little bird.
But yeah, it became a thing of like, now we have to find her. Well, how do we do so? You guys took really kind of the only lead you had, which was to go to Overfield and seeing the lost city that Evergrey once ruled over. Oh no! Before all that, actually, you were
wait.
you were headed there. But
This is where the tacos come in.
yeah. Well, you
Dude, like, there's a whole plot point we
that was the goal. Well, that was your destination.
We went to go get tacos. We ran into Sav's dad. Rolly decided to stick a taco in Sav's dad's mouth because I don't know why that was a good idea.
Maybe he was hungry. I don't know.
Reach Waynard, which is sort of a military town for the domain, because a continent and country needs it military.
I think we headed there because we explained it to Roman, the vision I had when I scried on her. And then he was like, oh, it's probably here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we went.
Met Sonovan.
Not in the best ways.
in the best way.
Oh man.
I tried to be friendly.
Like-
I tried to offer him a taco.
Was that always the plan with him? Because, like I said, you brought him up once before in the story, and it was just like, yeah, Dad's over there. He's nomadic. He's living his life. We're good. No need. And it comes back around.
The reason why Sheba got abducted by Lily is because she decided to travel westward to look for her father, because there was a cat curiosity of whatever happened to Dad, because she is also as old. I think she's older. She's your older sister. She remembers your father a lot more, and she was like, he always was odd near the end, and something's. I need to find him.
Didn't you send Sav a letter that said I found Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, she ended up telling me when we got her back, it's like, oh, I found Dad.
She.
I wish it would have led with, oh, there's some weird stuff.
By the
and I
way, he's a
found Dad."
cultist.
Well, she doesn't. All she knew is that he was part of the military.
Mm.
She was like, I found him in a like. Essentially, if you were to ask her, she was like, I found him in a military base. Like, she's trotting around in Waynard and just.
I mean, technically, she knew some of what we were dealing with, but she didn't know like how extensive. I don't
She didn't know
think
he
it
was
went.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was always open ended. And to your question, yeah, his role as sort of like a part of Evergrey's team really started during the Barnwell fight, because I knew he was in this military thing, and I was like, well, it's smart that Evergrey had a hand in the kingdom with Lily. She also needs a hand in the domain. And I was like, who can I grab? And I was like, I think I can make a story here with Savannah's dad. And so that's when it started to bud.
I feel like the moment we found that out, like with the scry, I think Rolly and Vera were like trying to be neutral about it, because it was like, that's her dad. Like, I don't think we could just go in and off her dad. But the moment like he didn't give a crap anymore, I was like, nope, this fine.
I feel like it was a complicated relationship, because when you finally did meet him and he was like, learned that you were his daughter, and he was like, there was a complication, because I was like, he doesn't want to kill you. At that moment, he didn't. He didn't want to kill you. He was like, maybe I can introduce them to what we're doing. You can see the truth, and we can be a family this way. That was his true hope. And when you were like, no, after going into
She tried to kill me a couple times.
well, after going into the lab, the underground lab in Waynard, you were like, and you read all of, like, there was an external force out there that made everyone mad. You were like, no, I don't think so. So he was like, fine, go turn off the power, have fun. And his whole idea at that was like, you go into this facility, either A, you get captured, worse, you get killed, but you made it this far. Hopefully you don't. Best case scenario, you get locked in, and you're out of his hair. And when they succeed, he can come back to you.
There was something he did though, and we didn't realize in retrospect. And you were like, "Who gave that to you, or who said that to you?" And we were like, "Fucking shit."
Well, because you were trapped. You were like, "Well, how do I get out?" Because you took the elevator down into the lab, and you were like, "Now all the power's out, and you can't teleport out either." So you're like, "Well, how do we get out?" And I was like, "You're like, who did this?" And you're like, "Well, who do you think sent you this way?"
All right, it's off the table now.
He just wanted you trapped. Truly, he wanted you trapped.
We had to call in Roman. Hey Roman, whatever you're gonna do, if it's a big show time, okay?
It's like something, anything.
Meteorites.
Meteorites.
You're right.
All right, that's pretty good.
I'm all like, that is a spell.
I didn't see that one coming.
I also wanted a place that kept something actually scary. Zombies you fought already, but when they bite you, it hurts. I wanted a zombie that actually carried a disease that was hard to cure, which is why when you were in the lab, there was that one goblin who was infected by a disease, who is basically carrying a very advanced plague of zombieism.
Close the door.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna close that.
because that's scary.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what level you are. If you get bitten and it's like, yeah, in 2 turns you turn.
That guy, like, don't close the door. Oh, yeah, did this to yourself, buddy.
You're like, I'm pretty
Goodbye.
sure he's gonna eat you because it's better you than me.
I know.
He gets it.
Then you fought the water genie. The Meredith.
Because I think at that point we had already acknowledged, already said in our minds, it's like, we are never going to get that specific stone. So the fact that it just appeared with this genie, we're just like, oh, damn.
Well, there was a whole level we went nope to because of those the laughing starfish,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
like
yeah.
Toon being morphed into like some creature now, and we were like, yeah, no, the laughing is enough for us to go no. And you were like, why are you being paranoid? I'm like, we're not paranoid at this point. We're damn near tired, and we don't got time.
I'm not sure if I showed you, but do you want to see the laughing starfish?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, this was that day of like, it just felt like it was never ending. It was like, it was something else, So we dealt with the genie, and then what happens after the genie?
Right as you finish the genie,
Bro.
here comes Olivia. And by the way, during this period, there was also hints of like a fourth wall breaking because Evergrey was narrating the recaps.
Yeah. Oh, we also freed the dryad. We found her sister.
Yeah, you did.
She was a little bishy, but rightfully so. She was starved to death.
So when Evergrey started reading the recaps, does that mean that she, at that point, had already dealt with the Dreamer, or had the books, or what it was that? Now you can reveal that.
Yeah, there was she was trying to balance both keeping an eye on you through my notes, getting meta, and she was also trying to find the Dreamer. There was a certain point where Evergrey's recap was like, I'm done. We're no more recaps from me. I need to focus. That's when she found the Dreamer. Because she was always keeping, that's how she warned Olivia to, like, there would be no reason for Olivia to go rush into where the water genie was to fight you. You were not being scryed on. You were not being watched. There was red lights going off everywhere to stop teleportation and divination. You know, you couldn't be seen. So how did they know that you were going to get the gem or fight the genie? Evergrey was watching through a fourth wall break, and that's why she was like, Olivia, go get it. So she got scared.
Yeah.
And that's why Olivia got caught off guard and you guys chased after her and killed her.
I like how we were like, we just fought this
I'd like
genie
to talk
kid.
about that moment real quick, because man, what a chase.
Yeah.
That was so good. I still vividly remember Savannah saying that she was unsure. She was just
Me and
second
you,
guessing
our
everything.
dumbasses went in.
I was like, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I was barely alive. We have to go chase after this woman. It was just like, okay, we could come back and fight another day. And you guys were just like, nope, we're doing this now.
Well, because
I was
Vera
gonna-
was like
I
full
was gonna
heal,
say
done.
no.
Go get her.
I was gonna say
This
no.
was one.
and
Yeah, this
then-
was one of those rare occasions where, like, hey, you know that woman we've been trying to look for? She came to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I finally got access to not mass heal. I mean, think I did get access to that, but I didn't use that, and I used power heal word or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, Rolly has the most hit points out of us, so I was just like, and he can hit her hella hard, so we're gonna throw it on you and now go.
And the irony of the whole situation is, through all of the attacks, through everything through Rolly catching up to her, her skedaddling off further,
Firestorm
Vera-
from Vera.
all the
I
storms
brought down
from
a
Vera.
firestorm on her, and I couldn't
Skating
even see
on
her.
all fours using tabaxi speed was Savannah,
The
who
one that
also
didn't want to go.
stabbed her in the chest and did booming blade, and she was
Blade.
down. It's like, if you run, you die. If you fight me, you die. She died. And
Checkmate.
it was such a checkmate move where I was like, oh, she can't get away.
It was so good. Oh, it was so good. I literally, when we were done with that session, I looked at Temple and I said, wow, impressive.
You guys then were at Overfield.
That city was. Woof.
It was kind of effed.
Kind of.
Rolly had a sad moment. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, through the rooftop.
I could do it. We all know
Bam.
that's a bad idea. I'm fine. It'll be fine. Nope.
Nope.
Fighting your way to the observatory and finding a telescope that was always locked and trained on the floating castle. Getting a bunch of necklaces that allow you passage into the bubble. And then a very interesting motive or moment where, even still late in the game, Rolly was able to switch over his fighter subclass
Oh yeah.
into more of a draconic giant might moment.
Bam, dragon. Hear
Yeah.
me roar.
Really pulling into that I like the narrative, like really pulling into like, this is my heritage.
The only regret is I wish I could have explored that further.
Yeah. It was it's a subclass that was published later, so.
But yeah, like I think I became a little bit more helpful. Certainly getting the subclass and all the other things I did with Rune Knight was far more helpful to not just me but to the party than honestly multi-classing into Warlock.
Fair.
Yeah.
Then it was
Because those classes kind of stack. Because I mean, like Rune Knight is still kind of martial, but you just have like the buffs to it.
uses reactions, which as a
Yeah.
barbarian, you're not really using your reactions at all. And even after you use a bonus action to rage, you have attack. What are you using your bonus action for? I use a bonus action to do fire ruin or something along that line. Also, Savannah got wings.
Yeah.
And then the last in-game use of divine intervention.
Yeah.
It worked. Oh no, because you're level 20, it would have worked regardless, but it was, you were in the final stretch and full heal, long rest, and brought you for close to the flying castle.
Not that was the second to last one. I used it because I said, "Give us wings." You remember
Oh, that's right.
when our lovely friend pulled a gravity spell?
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right.
Because it had been like a while after that.
We'll tackle sort of further, but yeah, finding Beecha.
Does he go with you and Gina Lee, or where is he going?
Oh, is he part of your venturing party?
Because you were like,
I
I'm gonna
am-
give you a home. I'm like, where is he going?
I'm sorry, we never really got a chance to explore this further. I essentially consider him my familiar. He comes with me everywhere.
Oh,
He is
great.
my buddy.
Yeah, he's really, and he's
Yeah.
excited to be with you and the wife. Yeah, he's like, this is my family.
I have found my third cub, y'all.
Yeah. Every time you go into a new town, they're like, huh.
And then I promptly beat down anyone who gives him looks. It's perfect. It's such a good relationship.
Experiment that we don't hate. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Rushing into the tower, going upwards, finding your friends, beating a beholder.
Which was scary. Because we got stuck
That
on the
was
other side of the
terrifying.
glass.
I was so nervous,
It was
and
just
then
rolling.
oh man, it was such a wild fight that ended up working in your favor.
To summarize, we had arcane glyphs that could rip the life out of you, and then on the other side we had beholder that was going to kill you, along with mages that may also kill you. So And then we had
And
to release
somehow-
a bunch of people that were taken.
Somehow, once again, Rolly found himself inside another situation where his soul was about to be ripped out of him. Yeah.
And then having sort of Gina Lee with you to summon friends. And going into that final fight, and then running into the external force, which I can now refer to as a storyteller. Hello. As well as the 4 puppeteers, or the 4 external beings. Hello. Or the 3, I should say.
I was like,
3.
who the hell is the fourth one?
Mystery.
And yeah,
Caleb.
I
Yeah,
wanted
Caleb's the fourth one.
I wanted it to be a commentary near the end of like,
One day he'll play with us.
I can shift stories and I can shift things and I can introduce, that's why like there was a question that one of the Genesis members was like, do you remember your childhood friend? Right now, tell me your childhood friend, which none of you have ever told me. And so isn't it weird that you don't have a childhood friend?
I think I said Paylor and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Not that one.
It's like, what?
Like, but
You didn't
technically he is.
you didn't make a friend at your where you lived? Really? Like it was one of those things where like they were also aware that they didn't really have a backstory. And so it was sort of this commentary of like, if we were to sever, my story was severed from me, I don't know what would happen. And they would be free.
I still like what I ended up telling her as Vera of like, you did this wrong. Like, ultimately, it was still your decision of like how to go about this, and you did it in the worst way. So now you're alone standing here.
Yeah. I wanted to also press, and this is something that, Amber, thank you for appreciating it, was I did not want to make a story where you guys were fated to do anything. You were not, there was no destiny. And that was the point I had to make to myself as Evergrey, was like, you were not destined to do this, Ish. You know? Gina Lee's a great example.
She's not a lich.
What was she destined to be? Gina Lee was destined to just be a throwaway character. What did she evolve to be? Something more.
Yeah.
Who is Moscow supposed to be destined to be? A deadbeat dad. That was seriously what he was going to be. What did Rolly want to beat him to become? And what did Vera and Savannah really talk him into being? Kind of a good father. Or at least making up to be one.
Ended up being a grandfather.
Yeah. and then I had to think about it. I'm like, same thing with my villains. They didn't have to be this way. But drive and power and mentality, that made them what they became. Sorry, Gina. Or sorry, Evergrey.
Sorry, Gina.
sorry, Evergrey. That's your fault.
You did this.
You did this. And so that's what it came down to be. And you guys were able to go back and
I feel like it came full circle though, because I mean, in her what you would consider her backstory is like, she had that realization way too late when she said, forsake the gods and all this, and you have to be book learned and blah blah blah. And then it was like, oh crap, I don't have any help. Well, one of you guys help me now? And it's like, F no, we heard you. So it's like, it's like you still didn't learn that maybe we don't go about things in a certain way.
well, the last chapter, and I'm gonna just really burn through this one, is
Your boy's calling you.
the biggest thing that happened during that epilogue was the fight with Lily. Fully taking her out and no more access to clone jars.
Undead clone jars.
But Vera has a family now. You have triplets?
Yeah,
Triplet.
2 boys, 1 girl.
Triplets?
I was gonna make them all boys, and then I was like, nah, she's probably gonna have a little shit that's just like her.
Oh no.
Uthiel has a new station. As sort of an overseer, sort of like Q&A.
Although I do want to like, not actually smack you up the head, but like, air smack you up the head, because we literally talked about like when Vera was pregnant, and she was pregnant in the fight with Lily.
She was in the pregnant fight with Lily.
Uthiel asked her, how's the cabin going? And then I was like, oh, it's good, because he was like, does Uthiel know? And I was like, yeah, he knows. Like, probably nobody else knows other than like him and like our parents, but
Yeah.
everybody else is shush. And I was like, and the moment he said roll initiative, I was like, Michael, don't you damn kill the pregnant lady. How dare you?
And the last use of what we seen in game, giving you guys wings and all that, for divine intervention. Yeah, she was pregnant during the time. That's why I asked you. I asked you specifically, Amber. I was like, do you? I was like, because I wanted it to happen within 3 years, and I was like, when do you want to have kids? And you were like, I want to have kids like at year 2. And I went, perfect. This all happens in year 1.
Yeah, and I was like, but she would have to be pregnant then
Yep.
to have them this year.
It's like,
Yep.
so you have to count back 9 months, so.
It happened like month 3.
And so I was just like, damn it, Michael.
So Vera is now taken sort of not a full isolationist, but like you live in solitude, but you come down to help the public when
Yeah,
you
like
can.
she doesn't let people know where she lives. I mean, other than like the ones that she deems obviously fit, like Sam and Rolly know where to find her.
You know,
But, like,
that would turn you into like almost like a myth at that point. Like, oh,
like
here
you,
comes.
like she's around in the town. It's not like she isn't, and like she goes out and still does. Because I told Mike, I didn't want to take away from her the champion thing. I'm like, she's gonna do that, and I told Mike, I'm like, it's such a sad thing, but I was like, Vera's gonna outlive them all. Like they're all gonna go, and she's still gonna be around. So like she's gonna still need like a purpose to do something.
And then Rolly is out trying to destroy as much of Evergrey as possible, and he ranks. We could probably say this now. Vera has kept copies of some Evergrey details
Yeah.
in her own homestead, so
She made it a point to tell you, like, to learn from your mistake, you still need a record of your mistake.
No,
Like,
it's okay. When Steve told me Rolly's idea, I'm like, you do realize me and you are going to fight because I know the Raven Kiss has stuff, and they're not going to want you just to destroy it because the whole point of the Raven's Kiss is to, the voice, hold on to information, spread information. So what are we going to do here?
I think it would probably be very aggressive in the beginning because, again, Rolly's still set forth on trying to do this. At some point, not really wanting to sacrifice his friends to do so, Rolly would come to the realization of like, maybe if it's in these particular hands, it's okay.
yeah,
Right?
you wanted it out of the public's hand.
Yeah, I wanted the less people knew about her, the better. If he could make it so that no one stumbled upon this public piece of information, great. That means no one will ever find out anything about the queen. But if it's something being held privately, like with the with the Raven's Kiss or by Vera herself, like, well, that's not really going to get out into the public. So I think that's okay.
You know what's wild? This has just hit me. Rolly turned into one of the, basically the elders of the Celadon Kingdom. Because don't forget, the Evergrey Empire no one wants to talk about the Evergrey Empire because it's a stain on history.
yeah.
Rolly has now become the enforcer of that.
Well, I
we
mean,
don't talk about it.
Character-wise, Vera was hoping, like, she already knows, like, the grief process can be a really long one, depending on, like, the person. So she was just kind of hoping, like, if he goes out on this thing, maybe he'll hear me in a year or two of, like, maybe the grieving has helped a little bit in your own way, shape, or form, or whatever that is. And then, like, then we'll have a conversation.
Oh no, Savannah was ready for a full-blown fight with Rolly because it's gonna happen at some point. We're gonna have to fight about this.
So if I can share with the public and everybody, I had actually written a couple of different endings for Rolly. One thing to preface is, like, there was only one true path to Rolly having a happy ending. At least a happy ending
Ish.
in general, right? Ish, right? That was having the option of his deceased father coming back to life and him reliving at least a couple of years left of whatever time he had left before he naturally passed away. And Rolly's biggest drive throughout this entire adventure is not necessarily, I want to be known across the land, I want households to know my name, I want to achieve greatness. No. Rolly's drive was actually quite simple. It was, I want to let my father know that I did it and we will be okay.
So
The family will be fine and he can go on naturally.
I wrote in, because that was a question that never really got answered, is whether or not Vera would bring Ezekiel back to life. And
You had asked me, and I was like, I think I'd try, but I made a point to say it in stream that I was like, you have to be willing.
and I, full disclosure, Ezekiel wouldn't be willing. He's back with his wife.
I 100% figured that out when he showed up.
Yeah.
When
With
I
your mom.
did the resistance, at that point, like Rolly figured out, oh, he's gone and he doesn't want to come back. So that left Rolly with essentially like a unresolved
Mm-hmm.
situation, like an unresolved dream, and those feelings of an unresolved dream are what motivated him to go do this, to literally take from the queen what she had taken from him.
Have to have a purpose. And then switching over to Savannah, I like the idea of maybe a little bit of a playful will they, won't they with Savannah and Roman.
Bro, I thought you were going to tell him no. I was like,
Oh, I know.
I thought he was gonna say because okay, so
I was like, wait. What do you mean you
I
gotta think about it?
couldn't leave that open, and all I kept thinking of, like, I like the cute, adorable romance, but this romance makes no goddamn sense. So I'm all like, I'm gonna give Mike these options, and depending on how you go is where this is gonna go.
So I wrote in a bunch of options.
I understood your point though as Roman, because I was like, he's done this his whole life. But Sav and Vera made it a point to question him and was like, is this what you want? Or is this like what society has told you you have to be?
He wanted both. So essentially at the very end of it, I wanted to write down there was a moment where like he had a moment of weakness. And that was like one night he just showed up and there was like a romance moment between you and Roman. Like just out of the blue, just like, I can't stay away from you. We had to stay away, but I just can't. I'm risking like my knowledge being slipped out, but I can't. There was a strong connection between Savannah and Roman. And eventually just a letter of going, I'm going to serve my purpose. 5 years, my service. I can extend it. Fuck that. I'm going to join you guys. So he wanted
I'm
to.
like, 5 years is fine.
Yeah. So beyond the 3-year threshold we put, but 5 years, he's gonna serve as done. I'm done with my service as a chosen. Because there is a mentorship that he has to go through for a year. So it's like 4 years of service and then a year of training the next generation. And then after that's done, be like, in your hands. Bye. Hi, Richard. Would you have me? I'm a shadow mage.
And at that point, as long as Richard was fine with it, I'm not like, I'm not going anywhere, so.
Yeah.
I think there was only one thing that I didn't actually tell Steve, because I was like telling Mike, I was like, well, probably years later, or like within those 3 years, like, because obviously his body's gone, both Ezekiel and Igno's bodies are gone, she would probably use like divine intervention so like the families could talk to them again at least
that's
once.
nice.
And then I was like, but I hadn't told Steve. And I was like, so she'd probably tell Rolly, like, I can do it this way, but like, it's only going to be like, you know,
You get a conjugal
conversation.
visit.
It's not going to be like a, I mean, maybe, I don't know, Paylor's nice. Maybe he'll let him like walk around for like a day.
So yeah, sorry, something else I forgot to mention too. So the situation being that Ezekiel decided not to come back, that actually, I had a couple of different endings, if you will, right? And Ezekiel not coming back would have led to the quote bad ending, which is, you know, this whole drive of trying to eradicate
This toxic drive.
Queen Evergrey from, just getting her off the board, basically, would end up consuming him. It would end up forcing him to give more power to her, because now he's so preoccupied with trying to destroy any evidence of her that he's actually destroying himself, because he's losing connection to his friends, he's losing connections to his family.
Do you think
the
the conversation through like the sort of like a divine talk with Vera's help would probably correct that path? Or
100%, yeah. The whole point of why this happened is because the unresolved feeling of, I never got to say goodbye, I never got to tell him anything. He was taken and I was hundreds of miles away, and that's that.
Only difference is I would like to. I mean, if Mike and like God Debbie would be, it was like if you could talk to both your mom and your dad. Like maybe they don't walk around, but like you could talk to them at least, because I don't think Broly ever got to talk to his mom.
So that would definitely, that could happen. That could definitely happen.
Yeah, and I think we weren't really able to explore that ending to completion because of time constraints. But ultimately, like, if that were something that were to happen, if that were like a possibility,
I think you have to take him out of the chair.
yeah, I think definitely that would have given him the opportunity of you know, finally fulfilling that dream, letting his father finally be able to rest in peace, knowing that everything will be fine and that he did a good job.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was the goal, because it's like, well, I can't really resurrect him, and if he doesn't want to come back, I ain't gonna make him, so...
That's why you had the talk with Arad, and you were like, do you think he'd be proud of me? And he was like, yeah. That was a hurtful thing, and I think we almost got you to cry. Almost.
Oh, no, you did.
Oh, perfect. I got it. Everyone cried in this session.
I roleplayed my heart out.
Everyone cried in this campaign, guys. I did it.
And that, that was the beauty of it. Like, I roleplayed so hard through all of that, because I knew where it would lead up to, and ultimately it became, I wanted it to be a whole thing of like, I went so far off the deep end that I lost myself.
Yeah.
And the only ones that could talk sense to me were those that I loved the most. Gina Lee wasn't going to be able to help me through various checks, like high checks. Potentially Vera could have saved me, but I wanted it to be Sav, the one that I started the campaign with, to be the one to break me through it. Again, time constraints, we weren't able really to delve into that, but I would have loved to have done that.
I think, honestly, Savannah would probably be the best person to find you to. Sure, Vera has Scry, but she could probably get to you quickest, is Savannah. Probably with all of her resources now available to her. So I think that probably could definitely happen as like sort of a conversation between you and Savannah, and then bringing Vera along to be like, can you just, let's get some closure in here.
Let me go talk to a cat. I'll be right back.
It's all like, wait, what happened? I could just imagine like Gina Lee shows up and it's like, Broly did what now?
But
Just dragged Vera out of her cabin from the woods.
But all of that said and done, that's campaign 1 of Magic at Mostead. We're gonna stop talking about Mostead for a while now.
Wait, one final thing.
I was gonna say, DM, you have any final thoughts?
This campaign tested me a lot. So much so that it became something more where I had to like say like almost like a meta commentary about the way I was telling stories. Like it literally became a thing where like my character started to become a thing where I was like, I was there. I remember could talk about this. There was a point where I felt like I was losing my mind writing. And that's where
I fell asleep and you would still be there, and I was like,
yeah.
are you gonna go to sleep?
There was a point where I was going a bit crazy, and I was like, ending a story was hard. That was the hardest thing. I didn't know how to do it.
I think you did just fine.
Also, you guys created the most interesting characters I've ever seen so far. Where I was, we've done campaign 0, yes, but campaign 0 was nothing compared to this.
Yeah.
This is
pull
like
the heartstrings way more.
This is 10 times larger. And having an overarching villain who is almost like the puppet master of this entire thing, making the weaves and those connections was so much fun. Finding like experiment ideas and pictures and going, oh yeah, this is how this fits in, was excellent. But I don't know if I'm gonna top this. I definitely
say that because you said that before.
You said that before.
Come on, man. You watch Dragon Ball Z. You know limits are only made to be broken.
I know.
He gets ideas from other people, but the way he twists it is the interesting part.
I
So
can
it's like, I give you a seed. What do you do with seed? Oh, well, that looks
I do know
horrific.
one-
Okay, that's what we did with the seed.
I do know one way that we're gonna top this, and I can share this now. Campaign 2, the way that we're topping this is that we're not introducing 3 different perspectives. We're introducing 4.
Not Caleb.
Not Caleb.
For people wondering, the baby? No. Not yet.
Nick, who's been our temporary DM for from holiday one-shots, as
So
well
Masato.
as played Masato. as well as our main our main DM on our own personal thing that me, Amber, and Steve are a part of, is totally down to become a full-time member of Arcane Focus as a 4th PC. So we're gonna introduce a new concept of having 4 players.
We also are having a holiday thing he's doing, but we don't know premise yet, so to be announced soon.
Oh, I should
TBD.
get on his back about that.
I let that boy. It's fine until Christmas. Although we're gonna blink and then it's here.
I must say, Christmas is around the corner.
All right,
Okay.
everyone.
Get him,
I
Caleb.
think Mike's
Get him.
getting
Thank you
his
so much
class,
for joining
so-
us here for Arcane Focus for our full campaign recap of our long rest. I appreciate everyone who's obviously my players who've been through this. There are a bunch of moments. We got a baby. during this campaign.
If you guys haven't noticed, we have a baby.
We got a baby during this campaign, so that's a big milestone during this entire thing.
Technically, we grew by a whole human. Like, without Nick. We grew by a whole human.
That's true. So here's to the next campaign. And if you're curious when the next campaign is happening, I don't know.
Next year sometime.
Next year sometime, I need to start writing. So,
Not that that hasn't happened, by the way.
so thank you so much. Yeah, I have already started writing. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys
Soon.
soon.
Dude.
Bye.